Hello there, great person, and welcome back to Let's Dive into Warhammer 40k. I'm very sorry that I did not put out content the past 2 weeks. I had some stressful times at work, and a lot of stuff happened as well. So sorry for that, but we will be back with double effectiveness. I don't know, with The Last Church finally. I know I've been promising this for about half a year. I can't wait to finally watch this. So I don't know what it is about. So I just put Tyrannus in the background. Don't know if they will appear. I hope they will. And let's just see what this is. So this is apparently a fan animation. So make sure you check out the original video first and give them a like and subscribe to their channel, of course, if you like it. And of course, subscribe here as well and like it and comment down about what you thought about this one to help me get the algorithm going. Of course, you know this stuff, but I've talked enough already. Let's just go and watch it. I don't know how much I will comment. If I comment a lot, I will just let it run as always and comment and pause during it. And if there are long pauses where I don't comment, I will cut stuff out, I think, because this is a very long one. It's like an episode of a show. So can't wait for it. And let's have some fun. And I hope you've been well. And let's just go. So The Last Church. I really, really hope that this one has some faith stuff. Perhaps the Sororitas sisters, whatever they're called. Sorry with the names, you know me and names. So, I hope there's going to be some of that, but let's just get into it. And yes, I will. I've put on subtitles. They are, I think, generated by the AI here. I hope they work. But so you can also read. Let's just try it out. But let's dive into this. Have some fun with The Last Church. Tiber Porthogesis, iconic animation. Watch now. Yeah, watch it. Make sure to watch it first. But yeah, let's go. And actually, let's do it like this. Ooh, great music from the medieval times. Oh, I love rain sounds. I love them so much. Tony Caesar. That's a cool name. I really love this instrument. I don't know what it's called in English. I know only the German term. Oh, this is very, very beautiful. I hope they don't copyright my ass now. Okay, so we are in a church. The church already looks like not completely medieval, but the dome is very modern. So who are you, mate? Are you sleeping or are you dead? Okay, thanks for the jump scare, mates. Ooh, a pocket watch. Pop watch. What is the time, mate? And who are you? Okay, so he's not dead and lights a candle. Where are you going? Where's he going? He's lighting all the candles. This currently seems like a normal church. But why is it The Last Church? I really like the way this is done. This is a very effective way of animating stuff, like images that change into others and not... Oh god. What the fuck are you? What's happening? Why is it loud? My ears, what's going on? Okay, that was weird. So he might have trauma. He might have some PTSD. I hope he doesn't have PTSD. I mean, given this world, everyone probably has PTSD, but it's a very harrowing thing. Like, I did some research for my horror story about PTSD, which you can listen to here, read by Wideth. Professional reader, but anyway, yeah, PTSD is a very, very bad thing. Like, that's so terrifying. And he looked like that, like this, the echo of the voices of war going into your ear. Harrowing stuff. But let's see who knocked on the door. Who knocked? Was there even someone there, or did he imagine it? Was it just in his imagination? Oh god, creep. Who are you, mate?
It's a cold night. I'm an old man. Please.
Okay. Let me see why the subtitles are not working. I don't know why. Okay, so we'll just go with it. So it's an old man. He looks so creepy.
Welcome to the Church of the Fulgur Lapis.
Okay,
Wish
hey.
to join us tonight? I don't recognize you.
No, I don't expect you would.
That's a nice voice actor, a sexy voice, very nice.
Nor would I expect us to be anyone besides you and I.
Well, this is a surprise. My midnight sermons are considered quite popular in these parts.
Really?
Sure?
So why is no one there for your midnight sermon? I mean, he already lit all the candles, so we know why he did it, because he's gonna have a midnight sermon. But by the way, the voice acting already killing it. They're really killing it. I love it.
Quite.
What a shame. I had not thought I had aged so poorly as to scare so many away.
Oh, that's funny.
It is rare to find a man like you with a sense of humor. I have found that most of your kind are dour, leaden-hearted men.
My kind?
What does he mean?
Priests.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I fear you have only met the wrong kind. Besides, given the times we live in, any servants of the divine would find it extremely difficult to be of good cheer.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I don't know when this is. I mean, it is during war, probably, because it's Warhammer. But, like, is it Horus Heresy time? Probably not, though. I know I've done very much content about Horus Heresy because I love that storyline so much. But so we are technically in present time, where Horus is, of course, 10,000 years dead. But 10,000 years dead? I think, yeah. So but this is probably still a war. Is it during the war with the orcs, with the Tyranids? Like, when is this? But I assume we will get to know that. It's so good. Like, this is very well done. Oh, I would love someone to do my horror stories like this. This is such cool animation. I love it. Like, it's just sliding, but it's like the sound and the images still make it worthwhile, like, so much already. And can't wait to see who this dude is. Like, is this an important one? Like, is this gonna be a twist and this is the Emperor or stuff like that? Like, I want to know.
I am Uriah Olothair, last priest of the Church of the Fulgur Lapis.
The
Might I have
last.
your name?
Why?
My
What happened to
name
the
is
others?
Unimportant. However, you may call me Apocalypsis.
Apocalypsis. I mean, that does not instill positive feelings, I guess. I mean, he's a kind dude, but because we don't know who he is, he's going to be someone like, I don't know, because I don't recognize faces. So Emperor, a Primarch, I don't know. Let's go.
An unusual name for one who professes a dislike of priests.
That's true.
You are aware of the significance of such a word.
I am. It is suiting for tonight, however.
And why exactly would that be? What revelations do you search for in my humble church?
Yes, which ones?
I seek no revelation.
But-
I simply wish to talk to you.
Oh,
I wish
okay.
to learn what keeps you here when the world is abandoning your beliefs in gods and divinity.
Okay, so is he a normal priest? Like, is his belief not in the Emperor? So, that's an interesting. I hope they just talk a lot, kind of. You know. I love my explosions. I love my gut spitting everywhere, but I also love, like, thematic talks with, like, about belief and stuff like that. I love that. Like, it's so interesting for me. So let's see what we get.
Wish to understand why you have yet to turn to the faith of science and reason.
Okay. We start well. Faith of science and reason. That's exactly right. You know, I am allowed to say that I'm a scientist. Like, you probably know I've said it before. Like, I did a lot of quantum physics and also psychology during my PhD thesis. And yes, science is of course a belief. Like, it's not just a very, like, it's a belief that believes in objectivity, which is like, there is no objectivity, doesn't exist, but they believe in it. Like, they try to attain it, which is the belief of science. And the belief that empirical facts are the best expressions of truth we have. Something like that. I mean, I'm just, like, shooting this off my chest, of course, so don't nail me on those statements, but it's cool. I love that line already. oh god, if this goes on like this, we're gonna be here for a long time.
The great fresco of Isandula.
What is that?
Fine work. Wouldn't you agree?
What is that?
It is quite magnificent.
Is that a
But
dragon slayer?
divine? I don't think so.
Then you have not looked closely enough. Open your heart to its beauty, and you will feel the Spirit of God move within you.
So was that Saint George slaying the dragon, but in the future? So he had the Caesarian crown, so it might be the emperor slaying the dragon of Horus. It might be a relic from the Horus Heresy times. This belief.
And the whole world came running when the fresco was revealed, and the sight of it was enough to reduce all who saw it to stunned silence.
Yeah, art
so you
can
have
be
read
beautiful.
Your story.
So I have.
You are a student of art?
I have studied much. Art is indeed one of my interests.
Yes.
And you cannot argue that this work was not inspired by a higher power.
Of course I can.
Oh, that is also so interesting. Oh, I love that. Is art inspired by a higher power? I mean, you could argue that it is if you like art is definitely like I know that like when I create art, because I mean I count my stories as art, even though you might argue they're not that good, but it's still art in a way. So the process of creative creation is like at least done by taking stuff from your subconscious that you didn't know before. So your subconscious is like the sea below your consciousness. I try to do it in a analogous way, of course. So it's like this vast sea below your consciousness where you draw upon, and creativity will rise from that. So if you say your subconsciousness is a higher power in a sense, because it's not you, like it is you, but also not. It's so weird. I would argue that's true. Definitely art is then coming from a higher power. It is definitely coming from a place we don't have conscious access to in its complete thing. I don't know, wholeness, whatever. You know what I mean. Sorry, language barrier. But yeah, so let's see what he says.
I do not seek to diminish the artist's sublime work through allocating praise upon a greater being. Her artistry does not prove the existence of anything. No god has ever created art.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. It's just like they both probably mean the same thing. Even I love that. Like the priest says, yeah, it's God. Like God is like touching your subconscious and makes it rise, and you say, no, it is my own being that I just discover. Two very, very sound positions, actually, I think. I like both of them.
In an earlier age, some might have considered such a sentiment blasphemy.
Yes.
I have only ever seen mortal men accuse anyone of blasphemy, Uriah. I have only ever seen mortal men act upon it. Were reactions to the accusations any less violent, I would label it a victimless crime.
Wow, that's cool.
Touché.
Yeah.
But I have yet to see any scientist discover the root of inspiration.
What? That's bullshit. No, of course. What? Of course we... depends on what he means, but it is pretty clear that I mean, we don't directly know what inspiration is, but it is like so basically if you see art, you see themes, functions that are embedded in the art, and everyone sees different ones because of prior experiences and stuff. Like, but psychologically, it's like a piece of art is loaded with meaning, and with meaning I mean like potential functions that might help you understand the world and act in it. So I would say that we understand that. Like that's psychology, that's cognitive psychology, and yeah. So I don't know. We know where it like why it happens. It is like, I would say from what I've read in the psychological and neurological literature, it is something that is just like you spot something subconsciously you deem so useful and informative that it is something that catches your mind and your thoughts, and they are condensed into it and make it something great, either by recreating it, creating something new, or just looking at it and marveling at it. I think, but I hope I'm not talking too much rubbish for you. It's just like what comes to my mind. But I love this. I just love this. Why didn't I do this earlier? Like, Jesus Christ, this is brilliant. I love it.
The human mind is a wondrous thing.
Yes,
Do not
it
be
is.
so quick to underestimate it. Tell me, Uriah, have you ever seen the great cliff sculptures of the Mariana Canyon?
No, though I
Mariana Canyon, I love it. We know that the water was stolen or sold from Earth, so the Mariana Trench obviously now is a canyon, and so apparently they have sculptures there. Nice detail, nice.
have heard they are incredibly beautiful.
They are indeed 1,000-meter-high representations of their kings carved in stone that no weapon or drill can cut. They are at least as incredible as this fresco.
Yes,
worked
that's
into
true.
a cliff that had not seen sunlight in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Yet carved by a godless people in a forgotten age. True.
Are they godless though? Now it depends on how you define God. I don't know, it's weird, but yeah. So they did not have idols, perhaps. I just don't know.
Art requires no divine rationale. It is just art.
You have your opinion, I have mine.
Yes.
Isandula was a genius and a magnificent artist. That much is beyond question.
Yes,
But she
that's
still
true.
had to make a living, and even magnificent artists must take commissions where they are to be found. I am sure this work paid well, for the churches of her time were obscenely wealthy.
That is also a very interesting thing about art. And of course, I don't work as an artist. And if anyone is working as an artist in the comments, just tell me if I'm wrong, because I might be. That there are two kinds of art. The art you do as a commission, like commissioned art, like they tell you, okay, paint this, sculpture this, like film this. So I am happy, because perhaps because people they basically know what they want to look at or what they want to experience, but they can't do it themselves. So they ask an artist, do it with your creativity, try to make it something I like. And if they manage to adapt it to the mind of the buyer or the commissioner, they are good artists. And if they have a feeling for that, of understanding people and concepts, they are gonna be rich. Or how they won't, and they are poor and no one likes what they do. And then there is this kind of art that just comes from the soul. There is this urge to create. I have that when I write a thing of a story, it starts very weirdly. So I it's a normal day, and suddenly there's this, it's a weird idea. Oh, that's a cool idea. I see something or something that just comes up from the ground, and it's starts latching into your head, and then it grows. And if you don't tend to it, it will just grow and take you over. And I have then to write it down. I have to write and write and write until it's my mind is relaxed again, because it's getting more and more tense. So this kind of art, I think, is perhaps something like self-discovery, I would say. I write to get to know myself a bit better, I think, and to explore things. And so there are these two kinds of art. So there's this one kind of art that is commissioned, where you try to understand or to make someone else understand themselves better, or give something to think about, or you want to express yourself because otherwise you're getting overloaded. So I don't know. That's at least my take on this. And if you disagree, just tell me in the comments, of course.
Do you believe that she would be incapable of such a wondrous feat if she had been employed by a secular government?
She very well may have.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we shall never know.
Yeah. Also interesting, because what I just said, let's say it's true in the sense that it's a good model of being an artist and selling art. So if they get commissioned by someone who's very spiritual, you will create spiritual artwork that will probably talk a lot more to your subconsciousness and to people's subconsciousness, and it will be more something people marvel at. And if you if you are commissioned by someone who's very cold, calculated, doesn't really care, you will create art for them where they like try to find structures and might be more superficial, perhaps. Like, would that happen? Like is art commissioned by people for people, like adjusted to people that are very like unemotive or something like that? It's hard for me to put it in words. Is that harder, and is that worse art? What the fuck are we even talking about right now? Like what's happening? Why are we talking about this? This is so cool. I love it. And you are probably just like, Jesus Christ, isn't you shutting up? But I won't, because that's what you're here for.
No, we won't. We are fickle creatures, Uriah. All too often I am tempted to believe that the invocation of the divine is a ploy by the jealous to dismiss one's accomplishments.
Jealousy?
Perhaps?
Absolutely. To see another succeed where you may have failed is a sobering thing. Some would rather choose to remain ignorant of their limitations.
That is a very cynical view of
I love it, though. I mean, that's true in a way. Like, if someone creates something very awesome, you can go like, okay, they were inspired by the divine. Like, it's not me that's worse than them. They had help, I did not. So that's something you can tell yourself to feel better, I guess. I like that.
humanity.
Forgive me,
This is
but
so
I
well
have seen
written.
too much darkness to be so innocent as to always assume good intentions. Do not mistake my intentions, however. Only in understanding our weakness may we find strength.
Yes, that is true as well. Be honest to yourself.
Well, this has been an interesting discussion, but you must excuse me, friend Apocalypsis. I have to prepare for
That's
my
so
congregation.
funny. I don't think that
No
will
one
happen.
is coming. It is just you and I.
Why
Why?
are you really here?
This is the last church on Terra. History will soon be done with places like this.
It is the Emperor, I think. And it is before... Wow. I'm pretty sure it's the Emperor before... Like when... Like this is probably a more Catholic church even, I guess. Something like that, like the last remnants of that. And he is here to talk to the last priest of belief, of the old beliefs, I guess, that are expressed freely before he's gonna extinguish it. But he's not extinguishing it without care. Like he really cares because he wants to understand and see, to carry the essence into the future, perhaps to carry into his future, what is worthy of preserving. I don't know. It's very interesting. If that's really the Emperor, he's like, this is a very interesting depiction.
And I want a memory of it before it is gone.
Yes, that's it. Yes,
This
like I
is
said.
so. Then come, friend. Let us sit. I would rather not stand for whatever time remains.
Does he know he's gonna get killed? Like the priest is not gonna make it through this. Never. I hope it's just those two guys talking. I'm so here for that. Oh god, I'm so here for this. And I'm so glad that I slept well this night because I really can concentrate on this. Like doing this reaction without being awake would have been such a shame.
And yours.
I'm glad I took my time doing this when I really
This
felt
is
like
very good wine.
concentrating.
It's old.
Oh, wine. Yeah.
You have a fine appreciation of wine, friend Apocalypsis.
Also, Apocalypsis, he calls himself that because he wants to, I guess, so if I assume this is very far in the past, because he's, like, so to speak, bringing the apocalypse here. The last church is going to fall in his hand. This is like a very interesting take on the apocalypse. It is the end of humanity's belief time, and he will usher in the new age after the apocalypse, I guess. That's interesting as well, thematically.
My father gave this to me on my 15th birthday.
Aw.
Said I should drink it on my wedding night.
And you never married.
Never found anyone willing to put up with me.
Aw.
I was a devilish rogue back then.
No longer, it would seem. A devilish rogue turned priest. Sounds like quite the tale.
Yes, it does.
It is, but some wounds run deep, and it does no good to reopen them.
Fair enough.
Friend Apocalypsis, tell me, what did you mean when you said this place was soon to be gone?
Yes, I mean, he's going to raise it to the ground, obviously. But what is the ring? Is that significant? Do I not know that yet, that lore? Does I don't know.
Exactly what I said. Even in your isolated state,
Yeah,
you
I
must
think
have
he's
heard
got
of
the Emperor.
and his crusade to stamp out
Yeah, he's the
religion and
Emperor.
belief in the
Oh, I love it.
supernatural. Soon, he and his forces will arrive to tear this place down.
I know, but it makes no difference to me. I believe what I believe, and no amount of hectoring from some warmongering despot will sway me.
That is an obstinate point of view.
Why?
It is faith.
Yes, it
It would
is.
seem I'm not as fickle as you would posit, eh?
Faith, a willing belief in the unbelievable with
Yeah, it's again. I think it's the fall of Lucifer here on the wall. I think it's this problem, or is that Satan? You know, Satan and Lucifer are not the same, so this might be Satan.
without proof.
Faith's strength is just that. It requires no proof. Belief is enough.
That is why the Emperor wants rid of it, then. You call faith powerful. I call it dangerous. Think of what people in the grip of faith have done in the past.
Yes, that like even in faith, like hey, this is a bit of I think more institutional criticism actually, because like I think beliefs are like good in the sense that they encode traditions and culture and values and what has worked across the eons. But the institutions can get corrupted easily, and they have been before, and many are corrupt now, like very corrupt, which is such a shame. And yeah, I think, is that his point, perhaps? Perhaps.
All the atrocities down the centuries that can be traced back to faith. Faith is both the causation and the justification for so much evil.
But good as well. That as well, like, it's a very, very complex point, I think. But he is right, like crusades, like sometimes faith in something absolute, I think, is the dangerous thing. Like if you have faith in something absolute without leeway, I think that's very dangerous. And I guess that's what led to most of the atrocities as well. I guess. But I'm not sure. I mean, who am I to say this? I don't know.
Have you come here just to provoke me? I am no longer a violent man. Such a goal would be boring and fruitless for the both of us. If this is all you are here for, I suggest you leave.
You are right, of course. I am being discourteous, and I apologize. I came to learn of this
Nice,
place,
Emperor.
not antagonize its guardian.
I accept your apology, Apocalypsis. Do you wish to see the church?
I do.
Yes, show me the
Then come
church.
with me.
Ooh, this is so eerie. I love it. Oh, this is so weird, but so well done. Like whoever did this, thank you so much. Also, the writing is on point. Like this is what writing should be like. Like think about stuff. Like this is someone who thought whilst writing about these topics. I love that.
The Fulgur Lapis.
So this is a holy stone?
What does that mean?
Yes.
What is
Why?
it?
Why is it the Fulgur Lapis?
I mean, why is it holy?
Yes, why is it
Was
holy?
it deposited on the ground by your god? Was a man martyred here? Or did some young girl receive some sort of revelation while praying at its base?
Nothing so bland, rest assured, friend Apocalypsis.
That's so interesting. What a nice little a dig at idols and holy idols. Like he's like, yeah, why is this like he's almost mocking him here, and I like it, but it is. I think it's just to remember. Like in the end, these things are to remember something of true value. Like he said, all the things he just said is like, okay, they say God put it here. If you think that you want to remember, like you want to remember God, not like the thing being put, like it is more abstract. And the same with the revelation. Like if someone had a revelation near that stone, the stone is like used as a symbol for the story he or she tells. I really like that. Oh wait, let me straighten this up. Anyway, I really like that. This is so dense. Like, this is so densely written. Like, it's very dense. I'm sorry. It's like blowing my mind. I love it.
Thousands of years ago, a local holy man who was blind was walking in the hills hereabouts.
Okay.
A sudden storm came in over the Western Ocean. He hurried back down to the village below, but it was a long way, and the storm broke before he could reach safety.
Okay.
The holy man took shelter from the storm in the lee of this stone. And the
Yeah. You know what? I will listen to the whole story and then talk about it afterwards, but this is exactly what I thought about just now.
height of the storm in the lee of the heavens.
Uh-uh.
When he thought
The
all
music's
was lost,
beautiful.
he was lifted up and heard the voice of our Creator. And so he saw the stone wreathed in a blue fire, in which he saw
Okay.
the face of our Creator.
Wow.
Did you not say he was blind?
Ah, he was blind no longer. The power of our Creator cured him of his affliction. He immediately ran back to the village and told the people there of the miracle.
Wow, it's so
And
cool.
then?
The holy man returned to the Folga Lapis and instructed the townspeople to build a church around it. The story of his healing soon spread. Within but a few years, thousands were crossing the Silver Bridge to visit the shrine, for a spring had begun to flow from the base of the stone.
Wow.
Its waters were said to be imbued with healing properties.
And I wonder how much the priests benefited from it all.
Yeah, okay. I will stop it here because he's criticizing again, and we will get to the criticism. But I want to talk about the story, which is like very thickly layered story already. Like, but that's it. Like this stone is basically to remind people of the story. Like, it's not the other way around. It's not the story is there because of the stone. The stone is there because of the story. The story is important. The story is important for their belief. The story is important, and also it's a very religiously thematic story. Like him being blind and then seeing truth, seeing the true world, like the creator. Like God is often in some circles, I think, seen as like truth. God is truth. Like not in the sense that God stands for truth, or God is a being of truth. No, God is truth. Like, it's literally the same thing. So you're praying to truth, and seeing, and seeing after being touched by God, like seeing the true world, so to speak. That's a very powerful story. And I don't know what happened here. Like, probably the priest, perhaps that never existed. Perhaps the priest thought it up. Perhaps it doesn't really matter because the story is important. The story tells you stuff, and that's like stories, I don't know, in the Bible or the Enuma Elish or the Quran, or I don't know. All the holy texts are stories that are carrying something important. So it's more like it's like these monuments. The stories are not created because of the monuments. The monuments are created for the stories. To save them for beyond time, so to speak. That's my take, at least. I really like that. But now his criticism, of course, as well. And he's probably going to say more about this. He's saying, yeah, okay, but that story, they make money now. They made money off that. So they got corrupt. Like, the people telling the story got corrupt, but the story is still there, which is important as well. The story is still there, even though the people telling the story have not lost its meaning and get corrupt and use it to get money for themselves. Like, they are blinded by greed then, in a way. So they didn't listen to the story. But as long as it's being told and someone else listens to it and understands it as like what it means, it's okay. So it's an interesting conundrum, but I like it.
And what? It could cure diseases? Mend broken limbs?
So the church records say. This bathing chamber was constructed around the stone, and people across the land came to bathe in the sacred waters while they still flowed.
Yeah.
I have heard tales of a similar nature in the Far East. A young girl claimed to have seen a holy vision of a woman while bathing near the springs closest to her home. She described a woman conspicuously similar to the holy woman of a religious order of which her family was a member.
Yeah, that's like Mary. You can't tell me that's not Mary.
Bathing houses were established there too, but For fear of diminishing the rate at which the owners of the bathhouses could admit pilgrims, the waters were only changed once a day. The dying and diseased came in droves, passing through that water in the hundreds every day. So I'm sure you can imagine what a horrible slop it was at the end.
Yes, of course it was. But again, it is like the yes, you would think the spring was created, and it probably was created because of the vision. But after the vision was there, and then you could say, yeah, okay, so they tell a story about the vision to make money. Yes, but in a sense as well, the spring is there to remind them of the vision of the figure that she saw. And of course, it gets corrupt again. It's a very nice criticism. Again. Like they get greedy, they get corrupted, they let in too many people. It falls. Like the place gets corrupted. I love it.
They were but pools of blood, sloughed off skin, scabs, bits of cloth and bandage, an abominable soup of malady.
Yeah.
The only miracle was that anyone emerged alive. Such a miracle was infrequent at best.
I cannot justify the
bad.
actions of the greedy or the
Yes.
impure. I can assure you that did not happen here, if that is your concern.
Hematite from a banded ironstone formation, exposed by landslip during the storm, most likely. That would explain the strike. It seems to me that your holy man was not blinded by any physical defect, but was a result of hysteria or earlier mental trauma. It is not unheard of to be cured in such a manner.
You would
Yes, of course. Yeah, there is an explanation, but that like the story matters. The explanation doesn't matter here. Like it's like of course, like yes, fine. Of course, there's an explanation, but that's like it's just the it's just the thing. Like what I said before about art, like it's the thing they produced. They produced this story. If it would have been a bad story, no one would have believed it. They would have laughed at it, and they would just be gone. But there was something in the story that they liked so much that it became popular, powerful, and everyone loved it. You know? So yes, there's of course this explanation, but that doesn't matter because the story seems to be important. Because there's something they see in the story that they like. On a subconscious level again. A work of art. Like the story again is a work of art. Like the painting, the mural, the glass thing. I don't know what it's called. You know me. I don't. Bad at English.
attempting to debunk the miracle this church was founded upon. It was our Creator's will. And if your explanation were to substitute mine, the nature of the event is still what I would call a miracle. The Creator's face was seen. His voice was heard. It is a malicious thing to seek to destroy another's faith, Apocalypsis.
Yeah, like that's true as well. But I mean, he has to realize that some guy telling you, "Hey man, I saw God in a thunderstorm." Like when you're in a thunderstorm and you're like in this backward society that they probably had. I don't know yet though, but perhaps this is, I don't know when this is, but this seems a very backward society. And of course, when they are in a thunderstorm, they're afraid. They don't know what's going on. They have no explanation. Like their minds conjure up thousands of pictures and images of horror to warn you what might happen, what you should do. Like instinct like seeps into your thoughts. And of course you hallucinate stuff. Of course it was a hallucination probably, like at best. But that doesn't matter. Something good came from it for a time.
I do not aim to be malicious. I am trying to explain how such a thing could have happened without the intervention of a godly power. You think that the way we perceive the world is the way it actually is, but you cannot perceive the external world directly. Indeed, none of us can. Instead, we know only our ideas or interpretations of objects in the world. The human brain is a marvelous organ, priest,
Yes.
and it is especially adept at constructing images of faces and voices from limited information. Imagine your holy man sheltering from the storm in the cover of this great stone when the lightning bolt hit. The fire and the noise, the pounding surge of elemental energy. Isn't it possible that an already religious man might, in such circumstances, perceive sights and sounds of a divine nature? We do it all the time. When you wake with dread in the dead of night, is that darkness in the corner not an intruder instead of just a shadow? The creak of a floorboard, the tread of a murderer?
I love it. Yes, and that's what I said. It's what I just said. I love this one. It's written so beyond great. Like awesome piece of literature already. And the animations are great. The atmosphere is so nice, but I'm repeating myself about that. So like exactly the same thing. Yeah, like if you're very stressed, like what your brain does, like imagine your brain as a building. Like you have the foundation, which is very animalistic, primal, and you build on top of that the things that happen through evolution, like more sophisticated stuff, like in the end thoughts, consciousness. But the more stressed you are, and you can show that in neurological studies, the more stressed you are, the further back you fall down this hierarchy again. So if you're in a thunderstorm and you're afraid, you don't have the resources to go up your building, so to speak. You're still you're running around in a circle in the cellar because everything around you tells you no, don't go up. You have to act quickly, instinctively, bad, and then you start to activate like these very ancient evolutionary ancient circuits in your brain that everything is founded on, and these circuits then will make you recognize patterns. And things like, I think they are called motor action patterns in the literature, actually. It's very fascinating research on that. But like something like seeing eyes, like because that's a warning sign. So if you're so afraid and like everything is trying to collapse in on you and you're like so afraid and your brain is like in very, very base mode again, so you try to see patterns that will warn you of predators, like eyes or faces or sounds that might warn you of impending doom or of safety as well. Like you know what I mean? So it's very brilliantly done here. It's so true what they say. Like such a well done thing here. And we're 15 minutes in and we're almost an hour recording. Oh God, this is gonna be a long one. I hope you brought some tea and cookies. So let's go.
I agree.
He looks so
The human
pissed.
mind is a powerful thing.
It is.
What I value most, however, is the ability to reflect upon the past and reach a conclusion that tap against my window was a natural occurrence, and not a murderer come to kill a lonely priest.
Given the origins and evolution of religions in the human species, it seems a far more convincing and likely explanation that it was a figment of happenstance and a creative mind. A holy man might make a miracle of simple good fortune because of a predisposition to believe in the supernatural. Don't you agree?
Yes, I agree. He doesn't ask me here, of course, but I agree. Though the cool thing is, and I think that's the important thing to think about, that the story spread because people wanted to believe it. And if you want to believe something, there's something there that you like. You don't know why, but something that you treasure and like. Otherwise, the story wouldn't spread. Like bad stories, either a very, very bad story will spread to show you what is wrong, or a very good story will spread showing everyone what is right. And like this is just the principle. It's just the principle of, I don't know which part of science that is, but this it's like, I don't know how you call this game when you're a child and you whisper something in someone's ear and they like then whisper the same thing again and again. Like silent, I don't know, something. It's basically like that. Good stories are, I think, have an essence that stays across all these like whisperings, and that's why it spreads so well. If it wouldn't have that, it would like deteriorate pretty quickly into nonsense. You know? I don't know. I so much to think about here. I love this one so much. Thanks for recommending
Really?
it half a
You
year ago.
strike me as an intelligent man. Why can you not concede at least to the possibility of such an explanation?
Because I too have seen my God and heard his voice.
Really?
Nothing can compare with knowing personally and completely that the divine exist.
Ah, personal experience. The most valued kind. Tell me, where did you receive this vision?
Yes, now I
On a
want to know.
battlefield in the lands of the Frank, many, many years ago.
The lands of the Frank. That's probably France. The the remnants of France or French culture, because I know this is a lot of German-inspired, and France is called Frankreich in German, which means Frank Reich, Frank Kingdom, so to speak, or Frank domain of power, something like that. So the Frank War is probably a war having to do with France, but I'm just making stuff probably up. But it's so interesting. I never realized that France in German means Frank Kingdom or Frank Empire. Frank Empire. Yeah, it's like the same a term that the Batman from my country from last century used to the third Reich. You know, it's Reich. It's domain, kingdom, empire, something like that, like this thing. And anyway, that was a weird tangent, but let's go.
The Frank were brought into unity long ago. The last battle was fought nearly half a century ago.
Yes.
You must have been a young man back then.
I was. Young and foolish. Young and foolish.
Yes.
Hardly a prime candidate for divine intervention.
If he's gonna talk about PTSD now, I'm gonna lose my shit. I love it. Because that is also like in a war, you fall back to your primal nature as well. Like that's exactly the situation we just talked about with the night and the like going down your house, so to speak, into your basement. Like war is exactly that. Like you're always in that. So it's exactly what you might have here. I love this. This is so well done.
But then I've found that the least likely to receive it are often the most in need of it. I have read your holy book before. To me, most of the men who appear on the pages are far from ideal role models.
Yes.
Perhaps I should not be so surprised. The devilish rogue sits with me today.
Yes. God, I can't believe this is so good. Yes, because a role model has something you admire, but also has flaws. And I like that if you read religious texts, in most of them, most instances, I think there are flaws. Like sometimes the flaws and the good, the virtues are represented by different entities, like people or demons or angels or whatever. But there are always two sides, always the bad and the good, to show you both. Because something that's very important always is to think of all possible scenarios and viewpoints to like to better understand something. Like I do that as a lot with news. Like I know, we all know that news are pretty biased, and we know which bias they have. So I just watch every news to like see what they have in common, and also see where they differ to really understand what they're talking about. Because if you just watch one opinion or one area of thinking, for me that's a very dangerous path to go down. And in religious texts, basically, they give you both perspectives if they are well-written text, I as far as I know. And that's why as well, like here it's a bit more sophisticated. It's like not two persons that have good and evil, but it's the, like they're a bit farther developed in religion. It's flawed people. People are flawed. And like the flaws are not in two different entities or more, it's in one entity. So it's like good writing for me is like flawed people, like that are good and bad, and see how they use that to deal with the vastness of the world. And so in a sense, the modern great stories are like developments from that. So you don't have the good and the evil necessarily. Sometimes you have them in one person. Though sometimes they use the trope of, yeah, this is your evil mirror version or whatever to go back a bit to these older ideas, but I love this. God, I have to drink something.
Your tone may be pleasant, but your spirit is nothing but adversarial. You say you wish to learn of me, and this church will come. Let us joust with words, thrusting and parrying one's certainties with argument and counter-argument. Say what you will, but come sunrise, you will leave and not return.
he will return though with his armies and raise your freaking church to the ground. But this is reminding me so much of a modern version of the Brothers Kasparov. Is it called like that, from Dostoevsky? Very interesting, very, very heavy parallels here. Yeah, very cool.
This is my intention. I have other matters to attend to, but
like
tonight,
raising your
I have
church.
to talk with you. My adversarial spirit is not born from any mal-will towards you, Uriah. My malcontent is born from my love for humanity. I would see our species in an age of wonder, without these constant wars and the ignorance that blankets our kind like a plague. I would see us ascend. I would see all of our kind raised to the status of godhood that is worshipped throughout the galaxy. But
that is very interesting. But what he means by that is that he wants for humanity to be so good and ideal and flawless that others can take them as a good example. Like, basically, that's what he's saying. I like that. Like, that's a very honorable thought and goal.
we are enslaved to the fantastical notions that reside within that book of yours, and all the others like it. That damnable book in your hands is a curse, and I would see you rid of it.
Interesting. What I just thought about as well is, if you become the god, like, you don't need the story about the god anymore. You are, like, by living, you live the story you were striving for, I guess. And by still having the book, yes, you have still not obtained that, because if you still want to and need to read it, you are still not perfect. Like, of course, no one is ever perfect, which is weird. So how will he accomplish perfection? You can't, by definition. I think, like, there's nothing perfect. Like, you try to iteratively go towards perfection all the time in every area, I think, all the time, always iteratively going towards perfection, never reaching it. Because if you reach it, like, you don't have anything to do, no meaning anymore, you just die. Like, where's the point? So humans always find something to do, and to make better if they want to strive for good, which, of course, is a hard thing to say, but you know what I mean, I hope.
You go so far as to mock my holy book too? This damnable book provides a code by which I have lived a peaceful life, in which I have built more than I have destroyed, helped more than hurt.
But have others...
My time before this book was nothing but destroying and hurting. Untold thousands more live similar lives thanks to the guidance provided by our willingness to believe in something greater than ourselves. Tell me, Apocalypsis, when we, as a species, find your vision to be a reality, what will become of us? What will unite us?
That is such a good question. Wow, that's such a good question. Let's see what the Emperor says. He is the Emperor. Can't tell me otherwise.
Peace can only be attained through an aspiration or a common enemy. And when that aspiration disappears and we as a species are gods without rivals, who will we turn on? We will turn on each other, friend Apocalypsis. Your vision will bring only an eternity of war. When gods clash, galaxies burn.
Wow, what a line. Brilliant, love it. But he's right. There is in our genes, basically, like in the fundamental structure of human creatures, there is competitiveness. Like, of course there is. Like, that's basically what evolution makes us do. Like, we try to be the best in a certain situation for obvious reasons. And like, it's like, you can't get rid of that. You would have to completely rewrite the DNA from the ground up, because it's genetic, as far as I know, this proclivity to be competitive. It's a mechanism that's so old and has proven so useful that we will never be able to get away from it. But it keeps us alive as well. So he's right. What will happen if they don't have anything to turn against? Like, good competitiveness? Can that be a thing? If that's not the case, like, what will happen? Will the galaxy turn into chaos and war? Like a war of brothers? It's so weird. I love that.
So what would you have me say? There are more faiths than yours, Uriah, and each faith has equally zealous defenders.
It's true.
How many generations of conflict until your message of peace turns to a crusade against those who do not share your beliefs? Where there are differences, humanity will find them. And these differences are so fundamentally rooted in you as others' beliefs are in others.
Yes,
there can
that's
be
true.
no resolution
That's
without
true as well.
conflict.
Yes.
You find nothing but exceptions to my arguments.
That's so true. So also very ironic that he goes on a crusade later.
Never any rules by which to measure them.
How can I find rules in an inherently hypocritical system? Your book has been rewritten, translated, and twisted to fit the needs of hundreds of anonymous authors for hundreds of years.
True. But there's a counter argument there. It's the same thing with what I said with the silent thing you do as a child, the game where you whisper something in your ear. If you do that, they have done studies on that. It was, I think, the War of the Ghost. There was I think the psychologist was called Bartlett. You can look him up. He's written a book on exactly this. Like if you take a story and you let it be translated and retold again and again and again, the core of the story will still remain always. So a story that survives different eras, different ideas, different people, different nations, like all of that, that will be a story that is like where all the fluff is gone and it's just purity. Like the thing that was still useful for all of them. Because if someone comes and does something, like add something, that would have been like destroyed again with time. That's what they found, I think. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. So let's see what the priest says here.
The faith is eternal, but the story and morals are not. One man hears his dead grandfather, and he is locked away in an asylum. But if he heard the voice of God, he would be venerated and might well become a saint.
Yes, that's also such an interesting debate. Let's say, it's such a fun thought experiment. Let's say Jesus Christ was. Let's just take Jesus as an example for a religious man or like son of God, whatever you want to say, like a religious being that goes to people and says, "I have seen God," or "I'm the son of God," or whatever. Like I was in touch with God, or Moses. I don't know who. Like let's say there's someone like that today. He would completely go into the loony bin. But what does that mean? Because we know it can't be a voice from the outside, I guess. That is the reason. Like if you hear a voice outside yourself that tells you stuff, that is very dangerous, like psychologically, we think. Because it's like, Jesus Christ, what? I don't know. It's okay, they literally we say, Jesus Christ, what's happening to you? God, this is so dumb. I'm so sorry. That was unintentional. But okay, Jesus Christ, what's happening to you? Why are you hearing voices? That's unnatural. And the voices tell you to do stuff. But then again, think about it. Your conscience tells you stuff as well. Not directly, but also it's a kind of voice in your head. It's still there. So if you like if someone like today, Jesus would, or Moses, let's say Moses would probably be someone who would say, you know what, this is wrong. My conscience tells me to do this and this and this. And you wouldn't put him in a loony bin anymore. You would say, yeah, man, you're pretty reasonable what you say. I mean, yeah, I get your thoughts. So it's like, perhaps it's even something where people try to understand their conscience. I don't know though. I need to read that up. That's an interesting. I never realized that. Perhaps conscience is what people interpreted as well as the voice of God in a way, like this inner drive for virtue. Weird. I don't know. Let's go.
How is this a logical and rational system?
It is my faith. Respect my beliefs as I respect yours, despite your constant slights against my life's dedication.
Did you not say we should?
Why? No, I don't agree. You should attack beliefs. Definitely, you should attack beliefs. You should. Don't burn me in the comment section. If you disagree, that's completely fine. Like, tell me why. But I think you should always be able to criticize beliefs, because if a belief falls into ideology, you are done. like everyone who believes it and falls into the ideology, that's gonna be hell. So you should always be like, okay, but what do you think? Like, this is the argument. What did you say? And if people like run away from the arguments, I think you're dumb. Like, you're not honest. You're not like, I don't know. If people say like, yes, but I think this is wrong. Like in the end, they are probably like that. I think if you would argue with a religious person, and I don't know, I've not tried this before. Like if you would put this argument to a priest that yeah, but you know, mate, you know science, you don't hear God, mate. If you hear that, you're like completely bananas. And what would the priest say? Would the priest say, no, but I believe it? Or would it more be like, I don't care if it is a real voice or imagined or whatever it is, but what it says was important for me. And I feel it's important to know that and to speak that. So I don't care where it comes from. It's important for some reason. I can't explain why. Wouldn't that be a more reasonable thing? Like, I don't know. That's what I would say to that. I don't know. It's a very interesting thing as well. I don't know. Weird.
Joust, why does your faith require such protection? Is it not robust enough to withstand my questioning?
That's like if it's not good enough, it will shatter and should be done with as well. Like, I don't know. So if someone says you can't criticize something, like every warning bell should ring, every single one, because I don't know. I don't want to drift up in this video into these topics. I mean, we have to, because the video is about them. So, I mean, if you disagree with anything I say, by the way, just feel free to comment it. I don't have a problem with you attacking my opinions. Do it. Love discussing stuff. Perhaps I would change my mind as well. I would love to. But it's very, 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 very important to criticize. And to say something is not criticizable is the biggest, worst thing you can do, because you have to lie about it then. And that basically goes against all beliefs, because beliefs are basically, yeah, tell the truth, mate, or don't lie, something like that. I think, like, I know that's at least because I'm, you know, I grew up Christian, and I know the Ten Commandments, and there it says. So I think in Christianity and probably Judaism as well, there's this rule of don't lie, like don't lie. And you would lie if you not criticize someone you want to criticize. So, and criticize beliefs all the time. You should do that. Like, go ahead, do that. Make sure that no one tells you bullshit. And I like that. That's what I like. And a good belief will allow you to do that. I think, personal opinion. So,
no one else on this world enjoys such protection from scrutiny. So why should you and your faith be singled out for special treatment?
Yeah, he's completely right.
Faith is being targeted for destruction.
That's okay, mate. That's okay. You have to prove that it's worth something. That it's not just some stupid spouting of nonsense. You have to prove your faith is valuable in some way. That's why it's okay to attack it. If you can't prove it, if you have to resort to censorship or whatever, you're so effed. Like, you're such an asshole then. And I completely agree with the Emperor here then. You have to try to destroy the faith. If you can't destroy something, then it means that, okay, there was probably something there that's very important in a way. Even if you're, let's say you attack faith and you can't shatter it, and they fall back to like if someone you attack. Oh God, this is such a bad topic. Oh God, I'm getting so demonetized. Anyway, I don't give a shit. So it's like if you attack someone's faith and they have to go back and back and back, and they are like, okay, yeah, you're right, I can't explain it. Yeah, but if they still in the end say, yes, I still stand by it because there's something I need from this, and this is something that is important for me. And if I say it is not important for me, I lie to myself. Like, if you get to that point, the faith was worth something, I think. Otherwise, if they go back to, no, you're a bad person, you can't do that, like, then the faith is worth nothing. You know? But tell me if you agree in the comments. I don't know. Oh, God. So, this video probably just got demonetized by me talking about this. It's okay. I mean, I will always tell you what I think. I mean, that's the channel. I will react to things because I want to tell you how I think about that. And if you're here, you hopefully want to know what I think about stuff. And if you disagree, as I said, that same goes for me. If you have problems with something I say, go for it, mate. Or I don't know. I call everyone mate, boys, girls alike. So, mate, go for it. Criticize me. Do it. Love it. Like, I love people criticizing me because then I can see where I'm wrong. You know, I can grow. So criticize me. Like, if there's something in any of my videos you disagree with, tell me why, and I will be happy to engage in it because I love that. Because that's the way to grow. And you should think, I don't know, should probably whatever. Let's. We are a third almost through the video, and we only recorded for more than an hour. Let's go.
Perhaps there is enough truth behind my words that the Emperor, in all his wisdom, fears their holy power. Or is it because there are people too obstinate to accept that there may be something that science cannot quite explain? I have seen my God. I saw his face and heard his words.
We still don't know how.
Do not expect me or anyone else to give your experience credence.
Okay, God, this is so dense. I'm so sorry. There's so much to talk about. So first, science, yes, there are things science can't explain, and there will always be things science cannot explain. Believe me. Like, that's the basic principle of science. Because science itself is not finding the truth of the world. It is trying to describe the world as best based on empirical observations that you can, but you will never be perfect. There will be always holes. Like, take, for example, physics, because that's where, like, I am basically from. You can't describe something both with quantum physics and with relativity, not the special relativity, the other one, what's it called? General, sorry, mind fart. I couldn't find the vocabulary. The general relativity, you can't. It's not possible currently. That's like in science, you model stuff. Like, you take the facts that you try to extract as best as you can with as neutral as possible methods, and you try to draw as neutral as possible conclusions. But there it starts already. You can't be neutral. Never. Ever. No scientist is ever neutral. You know? But they try, and that's the point. They try their best, and they get so close, and that's why it's so important to have science. And they through that they can explain so much, but not everything. And they will always have holes. And these holes, you will like I as a scientist, I have done research on stuff we didn't know about. So there is something you just don't know. You just try to explain it. Like, you try to make up stories, make up images as well. That's the same process. The same process you use to create these stories, like in belief. You in a way, like in a very more, and this is the wrong word, so don't name it, a more sophisticated way. It's the wrong word. It is not meant derogatorily to the others, but it is a very like you try to imagine everything you can creatively to explain something you don't understand in science. Like, take Niels Bohr, who discovered quantum physics with Heisenberg together. And because I did my PhD, I'm sorry, I talk a lot about stuff today because this is like part of my PhD thesis. The way Bohr came to his ideas about quantum physics with Heisenberg, both of them. Like, that's one of the points of my PhD thesis. So I read a lot of literature and their letters and stuff. So the way they came up with this brilliant theory that explains so much, not all, but so much, so well. They were like, okay, let's just I don't know, assume it's this. Let's paint a picture. Like, Bohr was like, and all these great physicists at that time, all of them had the philosophy of, let's create imagery that is cool, that we think is true, and tell stories about it first. They told stories about that. Like Rutherford as well, when he discovered the nucleus. He told stories about, okay, this is my result, this is the empirical data, can't explain it, let's tell a story that explains it. And then they went into the science about it. Then they took the story, they ironed it out, they linked it with, like they found the mathematics in the story, they broke it down to mathematics, they were able to describe it. So this process that belief uses in a way is the same science uses, but on a completely different level, of course. So, but it's very similar in a way. So yes, science can't explain everything. Never. First statement that is very important to understand. You can't explain everything with science, and there are holes. And when you fill these holes, you start to tell stories, to make up pictures, analogies first, and then you try to put that into mathematics and physics, and then you start to see if the mathematics, which are the only objective thing I know of, I would say mathematics is objective. So I'm gonna walk back a bit on the thing I said before about nothing being objective, but mathematics is pretty much objective. So that is why. So you break it down to mathematics, make it as objective as possible through that, and then you have a new scientific description. So I hope this was a bit useful for you, hearing me talk about this for 10 minutes or whatever. But I don't know. I'm very passionate about this topic because it's one of my main that is my main area of research. Like this creation of understanding. That is what I do for a living. So, and I've read so much about it. So I hope you found it interesting a bit and enjoyed this little lecture. This is something I would tell my students. But anyway, let's just continue with the story about the emperor talking to a priest, which I don't know how we came here.
Uriah, despite what you think you saw, you may believe it to be real, but just because you believe something to be true does not make it so.
Oh God. Yes, that as well. Oh my God, this is so good. How can they nail every single sentence? First, it's important that you think it's true, but that is the first thing that has to be right. You have to think something is true. You have to experience something by yourself. That's the first step. But then he's right, of course. Why should others care? Why should they think it's true? In science, you would empirically repeat it or argue very well with literature for it so that no one can really attack it. And then it will be science. But let's say you take an experience. Let's say we take a particle accelerator at CERN. Some of my colleagues work at the particle accelerator on CERN, and they tried. And a friend of mine told me that they tried to, or not a friend, a colleague. He works at CERN. He told me that I think in the 70s he was doing his PhD thesis then. He's pretty old now, so but he worked there for a long time. And I think they were measuring the data of the particle collisions, And then one day there was this working group and they found a particle. And I think they thought it was the Higgs, he said, but in the end it turned out to be false because the data was not, they couldn't reproduce it. They never found it again. So analogous to this, again, very abstractly analogous. I hope this makes a bit of sense what I'm talking about all the time currently. So it's the same thing. So they experience something. They have their data and they saw it. It's an experience you have. And why should others believe this experience? I mean, you could show them the data, fine, but in science you have to reproduce it, and they couldn't. So this is basically the same thing as they are talking about, but on a scientific level. Oh, that's so fun. I love this.
What I saw.
I'm having so much fun.
What I heard. That day on the fields of Frank has never lost its clarity. I relive it with every waking moment in which I am not occupied.
And where in Frank did this miraculous vision take place, priest?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Of Gadwari.
You were at Gadwari.
I was.
I was Gadwari. No, I'm sorry.
You tell me what happened.
I'll tell you what happened. But first, I need another drink.
Yeah. I mean, this is just water, but to you, weird random priest man we found in the last church. May you enjoy your last 5 hours of being live after before you get killed. Oh God, stupid jump scares. So this was part 1. Jesus Christ, this is brilliant. Yeah, give him your best wine.
Apocalypses. This is the good stuff.
The good
Wouldn't
stuff.
deign to drink this from a tumbler.
This is Lagavulin 16. Mwah.
Now we will drink from a glass. The water of life.
Life.
Finally, spirits both you and I can believe in.
Give it a minute. Let the vapors build. It intensifies the flavor. Swirl it a little. See the slicks on the side of the glass? They are called tears. And since they are long and descending slowly, we know the drink is strong and full-bodied.
Okay, random fact about wine tasting, I guess. Fine, I have no clue. God, every time, what? Not every time. I once in my life was in an expensive restaurant. You know, it's like above my pay grade, of course. But I once was there, anniversary with my engagement anniversary with my my then fiancée, now my wife, and we were like in this very, very, very fancy restaurant in Paris. And we were like, and then there was a swimming pool and a cigar corner in the restaurant. Like, it was so utterly fancy, and we were like, this is too expensive for us. Like, we take the meal. Okay, it was, but like, this was the only time a waiter called me sir. It was so weird. Anyway, we were eating, and then the wine card came, and we had no fucking clue what that meant, and we were like, yeah, let's not take the least expensive bottle. It was like 40 euros. It's so expensive. Like, it was, oh God, it's so much money. And then we got the 60 euro bottle because we didn't want to be like poor. Like, it was weird, but I don't know. Anyway, and then we got it, and they came with like this wine glass and then they gave my wife the wine, and they like looked at her like expecting her to do something, and we were like, fine wine. And then they explained all the stuff to us. I mean, they were very, very kind. They probably thought to themselves, what peasants these are. What are they doing in our restaurant, these peasants? But I mean, I don't know. I forgot what they talked to us about, but it was all the wine tasting stuff, and I have no clue. No clue. So thanks for bringing me up to date, weird monk man.
And
whose name I forgot already.
Wait?
Patience, friend Apocalypsis. This wine has sat for many decades. It can sit for a few more minutes. Nose the drink. Feel the aromas and how they stimulate your senses.
Give stimulants to my existence! Sorry, One Punch Man reference if you know it. One Punch Man is awesome.
Allow yourself a moment. Let the sense awaken the memories of their origin.
May I ask a personal question while we wait?
Yes, please.
Well, it depends on the question, doesn't it?
Why is it you carry a timepiece that doesn't function?
It's probably from the war. It's probably the time like something happened and the stopwatch stopped and reminds me of that day and that vision. I hope that's it. That's how I would have done it if I had written it. But like I could never write a dialogue this brilliant, but like the theme I hope is going to come up.
It is a family relic, you see. It has been with us since before even Old Night. No one knows when it broke, but as legend goes, it ticks before disaster strikes.
Oh, okay, okay. I mean, it would have been cool if it would. This is cool as well. Like, it plays into the theme. I like it even more than my idea. It plays into the theme of tradition again, because like we pretty much are certain that religions, like very old religious things, because we know they develop as well. Like we have got old German hedonistic beliefs. God, this is probably the wrong word. Like the thing the Germans had, the German tribes had, and they would change into Christianity because they were important. Like these important traditional things, like live through all religions. Like they were like the theme of the sun as something special, or I don't know, of the, you know, like these religious themes that are similar in all religions, and like basically in religions encapsulated morality and social structure into the, like, and condensed it and made it survive like many situations. So it's basically tradition as well. Like you could say religion, I mean, it is. Like, religion is the first tradition, so to speak.
I never believed it. Nor did my father. When I found it, however, it was a minute later than I always remembered it.
What?
Now it's a minute from midnight. My father always jested that the day it struck midnight would be the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, because belief is gonna end. Belief is gonna end, yeah. It's like old belief is gonna end, and the emperor's belief that he thinks is the best one, which is also very dangerous. If one person thinks they know the belief, how it should be, that's gonna strike disaster. And I mean, in the end, the crusade fell, and it was horrible. So, very poetic as well.
I've kept it for decades. Never once seen it budge. I check it often, as if it could warn me of danger. Maybe there is hope, eh?
Superstition
A
as
grim
well, yeah.
portent. You seem to surround yourself with grim beliefs, Uriah.
Perhaps. But let's not ruin this good wine with such dour thoughts. My story has not yet even begun. We've waited long enough.
Yes, I want to. I want your backstory.
Hang on to the taste before it is gone.
Ah, that's a flavor I have not had in a long time.
In a long
I
time?
didn't think any remained.
It is an old bottle. One I rescued from the ruins of my parents' home.
Yeah, so the emperor, I mean, of course he's immortal. He drank this before he liked. I like that detail. It's very cool.
You make a habit of keeping old alcohol around.
Aye, a throwback to my wild youth. I was fond of the drink. A little too much even, if you take my meaning.
I do. Many a great man has been brought low by such an addiction.
Yes, that's true. Alcoholism can be
You said you
very
wanted to know
terrible,
of
I think.
Gadware?
If you are ready and willing to tell me of it, yes.
Yeah,
Will
let's
it?
go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Ready? Well, I suppose we will find out, eh?
Yeah.
Gadware was a bloody day. It was hard on all who were there. I understand.
I may be old, and my eyes may not be what they once were, but I can still tell that you are far too young to know of Gadware.
Ah, how can that be, I wonder? Is it because he's immortal?
You would not have even been born when that battle was fought.
Trust me, I know of Gadware.
Did he fight it?
I
Like, was he
should
the leader?
tell you a little of myself first. Who I was back then, and how I came to find God on the battlefield of Gadware.
Yes,
If
please.
you have half a mind to hear it, anyway.
What is a story without its context? Of course. Say what you feel needs to be said.
I was born in the town below this church, nearly 80 years ago.
Okay.
Youngest son of the local lord. My clan had come through the final years of Old Night with much of their wealth.
Oh, wow, that was a smooth transition.
They owned all the lands around these parts, from this very mountain all the way to the mainland bridge. I wish I could say I was treated badly as a child, to give reason for why I turned out the way I did. I cannot. I was indulged and became something of a spoiled brat, given to drinking, carousing, and bouts of petulance.
Okay.
Looking back, I realize what a little shit I was. But of
Great.
course, it's a lot of old men to look at themselves in their youth and realize too late all the mistakes they made and regrets they carry.
That's so sad as well. I don't know. That's a powerful topic. The older you get, the more regrets you have, I think. Or at least the wisdom you accumulate across your life will make you think back and have regrets because if you could go back, you would have things differently, you think, and you would have been wiser, and you might have been. I think that's very true. Though, what I always would say is that, yes, personally, I did some stupid stuff in my life, very stupid stuff. Probably, I don't know if it was, it was average stupid, I guess. But I would never change a thing because otherwise I wouldn't be where I am now. It made me who I am. It's like the life you live is your own story. And when you remember your life, it's the story you tell about yourself to yourself. and it's the most important story you have. And if you change the story, you change yourself, because you kind of are your own story. Like, you are your memories, and that's what you are. And that's why I love that. Yes, you will have regrets, but not about, like, I would say there are situations when I look back where I say I should have done something different, but that is valuable for me now, because I can remember the situations now from this perspective and see why it was wrong. And I've learned from them, and it makes me who I am, I think. And I can tell that to my children later as well. You know, that's like, so they might not make the mistake, and they will probably make the mistakes, because what are parents like? They are like, oh, they're so grumpy, and they never allow anything, or they allow too much and they don't care. And that's how it goes. And with the years, you will realize, I hope at least, that your parents wanted the best for you and they did what they could. I'm not saying, I hope that was the case in your case as well. I don't know. I truly hope it was, because parents can as well be very nasty, and there can be terrible stuff that parents do. And I've heard that a very good friend of mine has had terrible things done to him by his parents, like the worst you can imagine. And he told me about it, and it stayed with him to this day, and still made him who he was. And he's one of the greatest guys I know. But that was always hard. And I hope I will be a better parent. I hope then something like that. I mean, I will do my best, of course, but I will have flaws as well. But that's yeah. I'm currently right. Like my new horror story will be about that, about the mother fucking up royally and telling her daughter in the end in a letter why she was always such a strict bee and was so strict and it's like that's the story, because something happened in the past, and the horror story is about that. Like, it's something weird, of course. It's like it's not a normal thing that happened, but it's because I think it's important. Like the relationship to your parents is so important because they tell you the stories they are, basically. So anyway, that's probably, I hope that made some sense. Perhaps I just talked off my ass. I don't know.
Anyway, I decided in the adolescent fires of rebellion that I was going to travel the world and see whatever free corners of it remained in the wake of the Emperor's conquest.
Yeah.
So much of the world had been brought under his sway, but I was determined to find one last patch of land that wasn't yet under the heel of his thunderbolt and lightning armies.
Yeah.
You make it sound like the Emperor was a tyrant.
Are those the Thunder Warriors that he had symbols of? Yeah, Emperor is a tyrant. He's probably like, mate, I'm a tyrant? No. There is a tyrant in every ruler, though.
He ended the wars that were destroying the planet and defeated dozens of tyrants and despots. Without his armies, mankind would have descended into anarchy and destroyed itself within generations.
Yeah, it's like, if you kill someone, you will not reduce the number of murderers, so kill more than one murderer. Like, if you kill a murderer, you will not reduce the total number of murderers, so kill more than one.
He still is a tyrant. Perhaps humanity would have been better off that way, rather than under the shadow of this accursed eagle. Maybe the universe decided we'd had our chance, that our time was up.
Nonsense. The universe cares not a whit for our actions or us.
Oh, it does. Like, if you say the universe is the warp, and the warp is conscious, like, because they're the chaos gods, I don't know. It probably is pretty happy about what they did, because they like fed corn and seeds. I don't know, perhaps, but corn definitely.
Our fate is wrought by our hands, and no others.
Ah, interesting.
A philosophical point we will no doubt return to, but I was telling you of my youth.
Yes.
But of course, please, continue.
Thank you. Well, after I announced my intention to travel the world, my father was good enough to grant me a generous stipend and a retinue of soldiers to protect me on my journeys.
Nice. That's a good parent, I think. It's not a parent that won't allow you to go into the world, that is too afraid of you being hurt, but that says, yes, you have to experience yourself. We told you everything I know, taught you everything we know, told you everything we know, that we think you need to survive. Now prove it. Like, don't prove it to us, prove it to yourself, that you've learned, and see what you see. See for your own be your own, like write your own story now, so to speak. If we go back to this metaphor I started, don't know. Really, very cool and very like grim. This weird military truck here.
I left that very day and crossed the Silver Bridge 4 days later, traveling across a land recovering from war, which was growing fat on the labors decreed by the Emperor.
Yeah.
Hammers beat out plates of armor, blackened factories churned out weapons, and entire towns of seamstresses created new uniforms for his armies. I crossed to Europa and cruised my way across the continent, seeing the eagle-stamped banner everywhere I went. In every town and city, I saw people giving thanks to the Emperor and his mighty thunder giants. But I'll be damned if anyone was genuine. It was like they were going through the motions, because they knew it was dangerous not to.
Yeah, this is the thing I talked about like an hour ago. Jesus Christ. About false belief. Like if you just repeat stuff other people tell you without believing it, like it's lying again. It's like bad. Like, and being not able to criticize again, that's exactly the thing. They're not allowed to criticize. So that's also ironic because the emperor is criticizing this belief so much, and the monk is like, yes, okay, yeah, fair, but this is my argument. And here it would like be if they would do it to him, they'd probably just be dead or enslaved or turned into these weird ghost baby things or into these weird floating heads. So interesting. I love that.
I'd seen the Thunder Giants as a child, but never in the wake of a conquest. Never quite seen the reality of them before that point. I was drunk and whoring my way down the Tali Peninsula when I came across a garrison
why not?
of super soldiers at a ruined clifftop fortress. My damned romantic rebellious soul couldn't help but try and bait the giants. I called them many names. Freak, slave, the minor demons of a greater devil. I even told them the Emperor's only goal was to enslave all of the human race to his own towering ego.
Okay, were they like, oh man, you're a drunk, better go get some sleep, or were they like, Hersey!
After having seen them battle in the fields of Frank, I shuddered to think of the fear I was in then. I thought I was being clever. In my own stupor, I convinced myself I was a hero. Looking back, I would never even have passed as a martyr. Eventually, one of the giants broke rank and approached me. I was monumentally drunk.
Wow.
I felt invincible as only a drunk and a fool could. This warrior was huge.
That's so badass. That's so badass.
Far larger than any human I had ever seen. His entire body was encased in heavy, powered armor that enclosed his chest and arms. The sheer power of each soldier was never made clearer to me than when that giant came over to me and lifted me up, tearing my shirt and upsetting me greatly. I kicked at his armor and beat my fists into bloody pulps against his chest.
Yeah, you won't do shit, mate.
I screamed at him to let me go, and he did just that, telling me to shut my mouth before tossing me off the cliff and into the sea.
Ouch. That probably hurt.
By the time I'd climbed the great steps back up into the village.
So he wasn't that drunk. Like, if you're really drunk, I think you just drown. So he wasn't that drunk. He still was in his half-right mind, which is even more bad.
They were gone, and I was left with just myself and a hatred greater than I had ever known.
Humiliation, yeah.
I was asking for it, and it was only a matter of time until someone put me in my place.
Yeah, I think hatred from humiliation is one of the worst ones, probably. I think. Like it's probably pretty bad. Like, if you hate someone because they humiliated you, Jesus. I can imagine that going very, very bad.
And after Tali?
Here and there.
Tali is probably Italy.
Years, truth be told. I was drunk most of my waking hours. I know I took a sand skimmer across the Mediterranean wastes and traversed the wastelands of the North African conclaves that Shankal reduced to an arid desert. All I found were settlements that were busy paying homage to the Emperor. So I carried onwards, far into the east, to see the ruins of Ursh and the fallen bastions of Narth and Doom.
Wow.
Even there, however, in places so far away as to be the most desolate and remote corners of the world, I still found those who gave thanks to the Emperor and his gene-engineered warriors.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. Didn't these people know they just exchanged one tyrant for another?
Yeah.
Then again, it wasn't their choice.
Humanity was on the brink of extinction. I cannot convey this point any more clearly.
Yeah, that's like, he's got a point though, even though he's probably a tyrant. It's so dangerous. Like if there's such, like, if the world or your country or your city or whatever is in such a bad state, like it's very run down, there's horrible stuff happening, like everyone is like fighting each other, and there's this one guy who says, shut the frick up, silence, you bow now only to me and you will do what I say, and everyone will do it, and they will do it without like liking it, but at least it stabilizes for a bit, and then they might be like, oh, that works kind of, let's like see what he does. That can lead down a dangerous path, of course, as well.
Without unity, and without the Emperor, there would be no human race. I cannot believe that you do not see that.
Oh, I see it all right. I see that very clearly. The devilish rogue did not, however. I was young and full of the fires of youth that see any form of control as oppression.
Yeah, he learned that.
Though they don't appreciate
as well.
it is the function of the youth to push at the boundaries of the previous generation.
Yeah.
To poke and prod and establish their own rules.
That's what I said before as well. That's what I like. Your parents, yeah, okay, but you have to be your own thing and see what's really the case. And call them out on your bullshit as well, on their bullshit, but also see that some things that you think are bullshit are pretty well founded in something you didn't know.
I was no different from any other youth. Well, perhaps a little.
So you'd traveled the world, and hadn't found any corner of it that hadn't sworn allegiance to the Emperor. Where did you go next?
I returned home for a spell, bearing gifts I'd mostly stolen, and then set off again. But this time I went out as a soldier of fortune instead of a tourist.
What does that
I
mean?
heard rumors of unrest in the land of the Frank, and fancied myself a renowned war hero. The Frank were a fractious people, even before the days of unity, and were never ones to bow to invaders, even the ones who posed as benign.
Yeah.
Once I reached the continent, I had heard of Havelock de Grasse and the Battle of Averroy, and rode straight for the town.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be bad.
A town poisoned by the bitterness of a madman whose meager skill fell far short of his ambition.
Now,
wow, he almost sounds like Morgoth, I think.
well, that much is obvious. Back then, the story was that Havelock was found wrongly accused of the brutal murder of the woman the Emperor appointed as governor. He was set to be shot by a firing squad when his brothers and friends attacked the local army units running the execution.
Oh god, Jesus Christ.
The soldiers were torn to shreds.
Wow.
The death of a few locals in the fighting turned a small-scale riot into open rebellion.
Yeah, this is gonna be bad.
The town had time to think what they were doing, but by then, it was too late. Unfortunately for everyone, Havelock was a gifted orator and fanned the flames of the townfolk's ire at the Emperor's rule. Within the hour, a hastily formed militia had stormed the local army headquarters and seized the weapons within.
Uh-oh.
None of the soldiers survived.
You are aware that Havelock did assault and murder the woman.
Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, it's the charismatic leader that you think, like, it is like basically a conspiracy theory you believe. Like, oh no, he wasn't, like, he didn't do that. They just said that.
I learned that later, yes. By then it was far too late to do anything about it. By the time I reached Averroy, full of piss and
I
vinegar
love the
from
animation
fight,
so much.
Havelock had rallied
It
a
has
number
to
of
have
the
taken
local
so
townships
many
to his
hours.
cause and amassed quite an army. It was magnificent, friend Apocalypsis, for it had been everything I had so desperately searched for.
Yeah.
Icons of the Emperor being torn down, colourful buntings hanging from every window, bands playing in the streets constantly while Havelock and all of us, his soldiers, marched up and down the town.
That as well, like, if you are like, if you think you're in the minority and there's other people like that think alike in that one particular instance, you think, oh, they're exactly like me, let's get together, and that can turn out pretty badly, I imagine. So, yeah.
I swear, it felt like we were an army of devilish, daring youths. We should have been training. We should have prepared.
Yeah?
But our courage was buoyed up by the festivities, and more towns rose up against the Emperor's rule by the day. Within the week, We had amassed an army of nearly 40,000 strong.
Not enough.
Truly, it seemed, I had found my glorious rebellion I had so desperately craved. It was heroic and courageous and dangerous.
Ah, this reminds me so much of the Doctor Who episode where the Zygonan version, the speech of the Doctor, there's this one question that I love so much because the writing in that episode is impeccable. And the question, like, it's basically this, like, there is this rebel, and the rebel wants to overthrow the government, the evil one, and like just fight them, and then it's gonna be great. And then the Doctor, which is the main character, asks the person, and what then? Like what will you do when you win? And the person's like, what? I don't know, we'll win. And then he's like, yeah, what will you do then? Like, will you establish your own government? Won't you be the same as them then? What's going to happen? What's going to happen if people then rise up against you? Then you're on the other side. What's going to happen? Have you thought about this? And it's so cool. I love that. It's a thought like, yeah. Because as far as I know, and this is just something I'm not, like, I don't know if this is true. So someone fact check me on that, perhaps. I think most of the times when a rebellion happens and a government is overthrown, for the first time after that, it's going to be so much worse than it was before, even though you thought it was worse. It's going to be so much worse. But then from that, the community can potentially build a new government that, I don't know, if the other one was corrupt, it might not be corrupt. Who knows? That's so cool.
And it spoke to my romanticism for the heroic freedom fighters of old.
Yeah, that thing.
Absolutely sure that we would be the spark that would light the fires of rebellion all across the world, and see the
let's see about that.
from his self-imposed rule.
Let's see about that.
The Thunderbolt and Lightning armies were marching from the east, and then we set off in grand procession, making all due haste. Havelek leading us from Averoy was a joyous day. I'll never forget it. The laughter, the kisses from the girls, and the spirit of our shared brotherhood carried us off as we marched to battle.
Yeah, isn't that a great feeling? You think you're doing everything right, like you will go against this asshole over there, and everyone's cheering for you, and you're feeling so good out of yourself without thinking, what if I'm wrong? Even though sometimes you're not wrong with that. Like, there are leaders you have to overthrow, so it's like, it's difficult, but imagine you're like, okay, this is a bad one, we march against him, he's unfair, let's go, and everything is just great for you, because girls love you, because you're so courageous, you're gonna march out, they're playing music, go out, and then reality is gonna hit now. I assume it's gonna be very terrible.
In but a week of marching, we reached Gatway, and set up our defenses atop a line of hills directly in the path of our enemies. We all thought ourselves tactical geniuses, holding this strategically advantageous position.
Yeah, about that.
Had we any training and discipline, it might have made a difference. We held the high ground, and both of our flanks were anchored on strong positions.
It's
On the
over,
left were the
Anakin!
ruins
I
of
have the high
Gatway
ground.
bastion. On the right, the desolate marshes through which nothing could pass.
Are you sure about
You
that,
must
mate?
have known it was madness to engage the Emperor's armies. I mean, you had no hope of defeating them.
Yeah?
His warriors were bred for battle and spent every waking moment in combat training.
Wow.
Perhaps we knew. Maybe we didn't want to think about it. We were so full of hope, of optimism, we wouldn't allow ourselves to even consider defeat.
Yeah.
When the Emperor's armies came into sight, we were nearly 50,000 strong, and we faced an army estimated at a mere 5,000.
Yeah, you're so dead.
It's hard not to feel that we could win the day, especially
So
with
dead.
Havelek riding up and down and firing our blood. His brother tried to calm him, but it was far too late.
Oh, wow. This is so awesome.
Eventually, maybe a kilometer from our position, the Giants halted their advance. We should have waited too.
Oh god, you're so
Instead
dead.
of letting the spirit of the moment die, we charged down the hillside like mad, glorious fools, screaming war cries and waving
You're
swords,
all
pistols,
so
and rifles
dead.
over our heads. It was maybe 6 or 7 ranks deep, and we
Ah, that is so badass. You know what I miss? Trenches. I love trenches in war in the way that they are so horrifying.
only covered half the distance before the Giants shouldered their weapons and opened fire.
Bye. Oh god, this is fuck.
By God, the noise. I'll never forget it. The first volley was thunder that ripped down the line.
Oh man.
Our first 5 ranks
so
were cut down to a man before they could even scream. Each of their bullets was a small bomb that ripped limbs from bodies and burst men open from the inside like wet sacks.
Oh god.
I heard the shout.
Jesus
Struck in the back
Christ.
of the head and fell forward into the ruptured body of another man. Rolling over, I felt the back of my head and realized I had been hit.
Oh man, yeah, that's so bad. You know, and I just don't know why this came up. And when I was younger, our like the boys, so to speak, in my class, and we were all like, "Oh, this is so brutal. We are watching brutal movies. So cool. Look at the gore. Oh wow, we are so cool." You know how we were. And nowadays, when I see the catastrophe of battle and injury and brutality, there are two things I think. Either I think this is a bit much overdone. You just want to shock people. I don't care. Or I will think, wow, this is thematically so well done. It carries the tragedy and the horror so well. I love it. And this is the latter. Like I love this. It's like, no, like this is not cool. It's just like tragedy, horror. You were wrong. You got F'd in the A. Have fun here. And now he's probably gonna have the hallucination.
Shrapnel or some fragment, I figured. I could feel myself losing blood, weakening by the moment. Now the initial shock of the first few seconds had passed. The screaming began.
Yeah.
The charge had ground to a halt, and now the men and women were milling around, confusion and fear. As the reality finally dawned on them, and they understood the magnitude of what Havelek had done.
Yeah.
Now, the Thunder Warriors took their turn to charge. They broke into a run.
Wow.
Terror trembled beneath their feet.
Wow, this is so bad.
Most of those who had fallen but survived their volley were crushed beneath a giant metal bolt.
Oh god,
They
mate!
all were unsheathing their swords with serrated edges and motorized blades. Never forget the sound of it all. The roar out of a nightmare it was. We had been defeated in the opening volley, but these warriors were without mercy. Havelek had somehow survived the initial barrage with only
Wow, you know what? Something I have to say is like the capturing the essence of true horror of war. Warhammer 40k is so good in that. It's not cool. Like there are like the orcs. It's fun. Like that's like it's almost another genre. But these battles like this in Hell's Reach, it captures it so well. It's just shit. It's just shit and tragedy.
superficial wounds.
Yeah, you're so dead.
And as I lay on my back, dying, I watched him stare, dumbfounded, as the leading Thunder Warrior cleaved him in two with a single swing of his chain blade. Looking back at Havelek's army, I saw my terror mirrored on the face of every man and woman left, who were all begging for mercy, throwing down their weapons, trying to surrender, but the slaughter continued.
Why do they already have chainsaw blades? Like the others are like having these medieval armors. I mean, they have normal guns, but medieval armors. So do they want to make them feel pain? Like, why would you have a chainsaw? Couldn't you? I mean, it's probably pretty effective as well.
Heedless of their powers, they marched right up to them and hacked into them without mercy. All those people were cut apart so quickly and brutalized with such a clever force. I couldn't believe so many people could die in so short a time.
Wow, this is such well done animation, all of it.
It was mechanized butchery.
Yeah.
If I could have ran,
Slaughterhouse.
And I'm not ashamed to say I laid there weeping.
This is exactly what I was talking about way back when I started reacting to this situation. You go down your house, you know, in the cellar, like, that's just primal instinct what you are.
Listening to the awful sound of people dying, and the wet sound of flesh being shorn from bodies, and the stench of voided bowels and open bellies, until the mercy of darkness overcame me.
At least you weren't cut apart by a chainsaw blade.
When I woke, surprised I'd still lived, it was dark. In the distance I heard the victory chants of the Thunder Warriors drifting across the fields, along with the smoke of victory pyres. Havelek's army had been destroyed.
It had not been destroyed. It had been eviscerated like torn into 1,000 shreds and bloodied and bludgeoned and just fucked. Jesus Christ.
Melted, not put to flight. Destroyed.
Yeah.
In less than an hour, 50,000 men and women had been killed. I never learned of any other survivors. Weak, and laying in a field of human parts, I began to weep once more.
Yeah. Like, no one else has survived, and that as well. You will then think, man, there has to be something about me, something that was worth preserving by nature or reality. And you start as well to try to reason, because you can't understand it. That's exactly PTSD. Basically, this is gonna be PTSD, I can guarantee you. Like, it's like, you can't explain why you lived. Why did I live? No reason. And these images will come into your mind again and again and again and again. I don't know if I told you this before. I might have in another reaction series. I think I did talk about this in the Wheel of Time reading. There was a war as well that was very traumatic on people. And I when I was still a student, I visited a nursing home in my free time a bit, and like they brought some of the old people food or some cigarettes or something, like something to make their day a bit brighter. And I visited this one woman for I think 3 years before she passed, and she was alive, like she grew up during the end of the Second World War. And she was living in, I think, the east of Berlin on a farm. And her mother and father were living there, I think. And they had to flee from, I think, the Russian forces. I'm not sure who it was. And so they were like, I think their parents hid them in a haystack on the back of this old animal cart. I don't know what it's called, like this wagon, like for hay. And they were put into the hay, and and she told me, her mother told her, don't say a thing. Be silent, just go. And she never saw her mother again after that, and her father. Like she went with the wagon, and her sister did as well, I think. So and then they went there and there and there, and then she says it was such a horrifying thing because they came, and I saw people being shot, and next to our wagon, like I could see through the hay, and I could look outside, and there was this guy standing, like the wagon was going past him. Suddenly his head exploded because he was shot in the head, and he said she said that, and she told me because she had dreamt of that, and she says every single night her entire life she had dreamt of that moment of the guy getting his head blown apart, and she never forget it, and she was always back there again in the war, and it never left her. And that was so horrifying. You can't believe how horrifying that was. And the way she spoke, like she was a kind woman, I think. And she was like she did sports, and she was like this normal person. But when she talked about it, like her voice changed, and her expression changed. Like her eyes became dead, and she like whispered like this, and it was so matter of fact. She just said it. Still dream of it, she said to me, and now she found her peace, I hope, and I hope she doesn't dream about it anymore now that she's gone. But such horror, and I hope I will never be in a situation like that, and I hope you won't ever either, because I cannot imagine how bad that is. I can't imagine that.
I was in agony, bleeding to death and thinking how absolutely pointless my life had been.
Yeah.
The heartache and ruin I had visited upon others in my reckless pursuit of hedonism.
Because your life brought you there. All the decisions, all your ideas that you had brought you to that field. Because you charged in. It was your decision. It was no one else. It was just you and your own story bringing you here. So you understand what brought you here was yourself. That is very strong character development, I think. And it's scuffed over a lot, and I do like go over that in stories often, and I'm an idiot for that. But that, like, changing because of that, because you see that you were wrong, like being wrong and understanding it and seeing that you yourself brought yourself into this terrible situation, not someone else, not the world that shaped, it was you in the end. Like, there were influences, of course, from outside, but you were brought into this by yourself. You realize that, so you have to change yourself. It's so powerful. I love it.
And self-interest. I wept for my family and myself.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized I wasn't alone.
Ooh, let's see. What did he see?
Who was with you?
The power of the divine. I opened my eyes and saw a golden face above me. A face of such radiance and perfection that my tears were no longer shed for my self-pity, but for
Yeah,
his
the
beauty.
revelation.
Light radiated from the figure, and I averted my eyes for fear I'd be blinded. I had been in pain, yes, but now that pain was gone, and I knew I was seeing the face of the divine.
Yeah.
I could not describe that face to you.
Who
Not
is
with
the
all the poetic
Emperor?
imagery in the world at my disposal, but it was the most exquisite thing I had ever seen.
Is that the Emperor?
I felt myself lifted up and thought this was the end. And then the face spoke, and I knew I was destined to live.
You know what the biggest plot twist would be if you really saw the Emperor here, and the Emperor came to check on him before his death because he wanted to see what him telling him whatever this was in the end. I would be like, that would blow my head off. That would be so brilliant. I hope that's the case. If that's not the case, it's still the thing I said before. This is basically your conscience says, made you such a fucktard. What you did brought you here, change. And it conjured up the image to make him change, which is in line with what I said about divinity before, my stupid rambling. So,
What
wow,
did this face say to you?
brilliant. He already probably
Why
knows.
do you deny me? Accept me, and you will know that I am the only truth and the only way.
Did you reply?
It's the same jawbone, I think. Let's see.
I couldn't. To utter any words would have been base. In any case, my tongue was quite stilled by the awesome vision of God.
What made you think it was God?
Yeah,
You were a dying man on a battlefield, surrounded by your dead comrades, and
Yeah.
you were having an epiphany about the futility of the life you had led.
yes, like he says it as well. Like, it's your conscience that came to you, perhaps.
Think back, priest. Surely there is another explanation?
I need no other explanation. You may be wise in many things, Apocalypsis, but you cannot know what goes on in my own mind.
That is also so brilliant. Oh, it's so brilliant. Yes. He doesn't care. That's what I said before as well. Like, he doesn't care where these stories come from. He told the story to himself, and he knew it was something that was so important that he had to live by it. It doesn't matter if it was something else. It doesn't matter. Whatever existed on the battlefield, whatever he witnesses, gave rise to the story he told himself, and that story is like the core of his being now. So it doesn't matter where the story comes from. Again, the story creates this again, the image that comes up again and again, even though he probably saw something. I don't know.
I
Brilliant.
heard the voice of God and saw his face. Does the perception of events truly matter if the results are singular?
Yeah,
I was borne up and set into a deep slumber. And when I awoke, my wounds were healed.
he healed them.
A piece of bone had been embedded in my skull, nearly a centimeter away from severing my spinal cord. When I rose, I searched for fellow survivors. I was alone.
Yeah,
I decided to return to the land of my birth, but when I returned, I found my family home in ruins.
why?
The townsfolk told me Scandian raiders from the north had come to plunder my family's wealth.
Yeah. So he's probably from the area where Germany was, or Poland, because the Scandian raiders is probably Scandinavian people.
So they killed my brother and tortured my parents and sisters in an attempt to make my father give up the family treasures.
Oh God,
My
mate.
father had a
Have you like? You know that there are currently stories going on about certain farmers that are having this situation. Like, there are people coming into their homes, and they like have fun with their wife. Like they heard the male lead, so to speak, of the family, or the father, and the woman lead, so to speak, is still there. Oh God, I don't know what the terms are. I mean, so the head of the family, the male head of the family, is like very gravely injured, and made to watch as the female head of the family is played with for a long time, and they want him, the man, to see it because they're hateful at them for stuff, but doesn't matter. But I read that story, I think 3 days ago in a newspaper somewhere. And it happens a lot currently in that area of the world, and it's so horrifying as well. It's like this: imagine people coming into your house, and you want to protect what you love, and they make you see that what you love withers away and dies, and God, this is so bad.
Died before they could learn his secrets. I found my home in ruins, and my family is bleached cadavers. There were no amends to be made at home. All I had to remember them by was their wealth, good wine, and this damned watch.
Wow, yeah.
I am sorrowed by your loss, Uriah.
I am sorrowed by your loss. Please continue.
If it is any consolation, the Scandians would not accept unity and were wiped out near 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
I know, but
probably doesn't matter to him. It's probably not that he hates the Scandians, but he hates what people can do, I guess. I don't know.
I do not revel in death anymore.
Yeah.
The men who killed my family will have been judged by God, and that is justice enough for me.
That is...
He again called the Emperor God. Again. So there is nothing pointing towards God not being the Emperor for him, even though he doesn't probably know it. It's so interesting.
It's noble of you.
I took those few keepsakes from the ruins and made my way to the nearest settlement, thinking I'd get blind drunk and try to figure out what to do with my life. Halfway there, I met an old priest in need of help, in desperate search of the next caretaker of the Folgalabis. I knew I had found my purpose.
Yeah.
I had spent my entire life until then living for myself, but when I saw the spire of that church, I knew that God had a purpose for me. I should have died at Gaduere, but I was saved for a reason.
That as well, we haven't touched on that, so I will briefly touch on it. Belief can give you a purpose as well, and doesn't have to be like you just need something. I talked about this before. If you don't have something to live for, you die. Simple as that. We don't really know why, I think, but it happens. If you have nothing to live for, you just die. I think it takes some years, like 1 or 2, but basically you just shut down and die. It just happens. So that is a powerful thing you can get from religion, like a meaningful life. And if other people say to you, that's not meaningful, they mean it's not meaningful for me and I don't understand it. And it's okay. But if you have your own meaning, at least you live. So.
And what was the reason?
To serve God, to bring his words to the people, to do good where others would not, to be a beacon in the coming dark.
And that's what you've been doing here?
That is what I've been trying to do, but the Emperor's promulgators traverse the globe with his message of denouncing the supernatural and criminalizing the devout.
Yes, that's not that bad. I mean, I think, though I don't know actually, perhaps it's bad, but supernatural is different from religious. If you see religious the way I do, and I talked some about that in this video, so you probably have a bit of an understanding of what I think about religion, and it's not just purely supernatural stuff like all the other supernatural stuff. So,
I assume that is why you are here, and why none of my congregation have come here tonight.
You would be correct.
Yeah.
In a manner of speaking, I have come to try and convince you of the error of your ways. To learn of you and to show you that there is no need for any divine powers to guide humanity. This is the last church on Terra, and it falls to me to offer you this chance to embrace the new way willingly.
At least he tries that.
There is no or, my dear priest. Come. Let us go back out into the church as we talk. I want to teach you of all that belief in gods has done for humanity down the ages. The bloodshed, the horror, and the persecution. I will tell you of this, and you will see how damaging such belief is.
In a way, but oh my god, he looks like the one. What's the actor that plays the Emperor in this Apple series Foundation? The Emperor he looks like the Emperor there. Whoever, like the actor also played the one elf in Lord of the Rings. I know that's not very specific. He's a brilliant actor. And should they have a movie series about, and we know they might do that. So I hope Henry Cavill casts that actor as the Emperor. He would fit very well, I think. He looks exactly like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the name, Clement or something. I don't know. That's so. It's interesting because, as I said, and I don't know if this is true. So again, tell me what you think. Religions are in a way trying to find out which way to live is best for humanity. And everyone has, like, if there are different religions, they have different ideas. And if they fight because of the ideas, it's like an evolutionary process. It's basically evolution. What works better wins and what works worse dies. So their religious wars are in a way, I don't know. It's not that simple, of course, but there is that idea to it, at least, I guess. So yeah, but this, of course, is very simplistic what I say here. So don't take it as this absolute statement or none of what I say. It's just like I'm trying to figure stuff out. So
And then you will go on your way, friend Apocalypsis.
It is my sincerest hope that we will go together.
I believe him.
You know of gene breeding?
Aye. Very little is not gene-bred these days.
And you have heard of the once great city of Zoser in the Nord-Afric conclaves?
Yes, I have been to Zoser. At least I saw what my guide told me were its ruins.
True. Not much is left. Anyway, the scientists of Zoser sought to end a great famine that was sweeping the Nord-Afric conclaves through gene-breeding animals that would grow more quickly and more easily in their harsh climate.
Oh, are we getting mad scientists now? I love this story. Everything's in here. Like I'm almost like this should be taught at schools. It's so good.
When one of the local cults caught wind of the gene breeding, they saw it as an affront to their god. They were very much against the modification of genetics because they thought that their god had designed them as they were, and it was a sin to meddle in such things.
I love that. That's an interesting argument. My argument here would be, and tell me what you think about it, or like, do you have points for or against it? I think that the argument I would make to people saying, yeah, but you were like God, you are meddling with God's work. No, I am God's work. So if I ascribe to the belief that God is very good and works through us, so he will work through me. So everything I do is also God's work by proxy. Could be a counter argument to that, but there are probably rebuttals to it. I always think, because I'm a scientist, I've thought about the stuff, of course, about like instrumentalizing processes of nature to try to improve the species, so to speak. Not in a biological way in my case, of course, but like to instrumentalize laws of nature, so to speak, and use them to bring prosperity. That's basically what I think many scientists want, other than career and money, of course. But so that would be my rebuttal. It's like, yes, but I'm God's creature as well, and I'm acting this out, and he lets me, apparently. The only one stopping me is you, so perhaps you are not acting in God's will here. Perhaps. I don't know. Answer me. I would love to know an answer to that. That's an interesting topic of debate. I would love to talk about that with someone who's strong beliefs and would have the other position. That's because I think that I would learn a lot from that, because that's a very complex thing.
This cult, the Zoserites, saw the lead scientist, an Apashtar, as the next embodiment of evil, seeking to defile all the people by feeding them the embodiment of sin.
Yeah, of course.
They went on a rampage, stabbing and clubbing any Apashtar they could find. Of course, the Apashtar retaliated, and rioting spread throughout the city and left close to 1,000 people dead.
Yeah.
They did not again try to gene breed new farm stock, and untold thousands more died to the famine.
Yeah.
Is there a point to that story?
Yes, so basically God was not on your side, so you defiled the work of God because of what I said. Like in this story. I would say, like, okay, so God, let's just use the term, just for argument's sake. Okay, so God worked through the scientists, and you were unbelievers. You were not believing that God could work through scientists, like in the way, not that he was like puppeting them, but they were of good intentions. That's what I mean by God worked through them. They were of good intentions, tried to do their best to make something better. That's what I mean by God working through them here. Like nothing more, like not him puppeting them or some stupid shit like that. Like that. So they worked against God here, and they revolted, and he brought the plague back, so to speak. Like, of course, in this, God is not conscious. Like, it's an idea, a concept, conscience, whatever. So.
Absolutely. It typifies religion and tells a universal tale of religious behavior that has been reoccurring since the beginning of human history.
I would say this is more a sign of being too static, not open to change.
Religion actively impedes forward progress by producing stubborn people who fear advancement.
That is true. That is true.
A far-fetched example, friend of Apocalypsis. One freakish story cannot serve as proof of theory that all belief in the divine is a bad thing. Why don't you tell the story of the time a church organized a program to help the poor and the sick and the dying?
That is true.
Why do you not tell a story of when faith and religion gave a community the strength to stick together and help each other through old night?
Or create the community, because very often beliefs have created communities. They were flawed, of course. I don't deny that, but it started communities. Faith was one. If anyone knows, please tell me. Is faith seen or religion seen as one of the seeds for social crystallizing points like cities and stuff? Because I know where religion comes from, like historically, psychologically, but did that lead to greater communities, or did greater communities develop their own religion afterwards, or was it a interactive process? I didn't know. If someone knows something to read about that, please tell me.
Through faith comes character, and through our character there is moral strength. Without such guidance, the world would descend into anarchy.
A secular government with strict laws and programs could accomplish all that you have listed without creating stubbornness.
Ooh, I love that argument. I never had that argument with someone, but what I would say from this is secular governments have these laws, but these laws are always based on moral ethics. Ethics cannot come from science. Ethics come from something different. And you could say that ethics and morals are a development of religion, like it's the next step of evolution of religion. Or it might not be. We don't know. I think we might know. I don't know. I don't know. But I see morals and ethics and philosophy as the next step of evolution in religion. Because like let's say like, because why is it right to not let people starve? Why? I would say because my conscience tells me that's bad. It's something I feel, something that I inherently feel. And then you could say, okay, so that's your belief. So you're religious in a way. Like there's not a religious structure really that has like tales, text and stuff, but there's a religious thought in that. In the way that you feel it's right. But only when you say, okay, you take that listening to your conscience is the same as believing in a higher power. If you say that's the same, which I would argue, I think I believe that. Funnily, because phrase, but I don't know. So I would argue that even secular governments are based on belief, but not a belief in a higher power like that, but in the belief of the conscience of yourself, that you know what's right. You believe that is true. And that's a belief. But I would love to argue that. So I don't know. You know, I don't ascribe to a religion. I don't know. I don't know if it's important to make this clear. So you know where I stay. I think it should. So I was pretty religious. Like, it was like, when I was young, I loved biblical stories, just the stories. And we tried in like religious school or whatever it's called on Sundays, we tried to figure out what they meant. And I loved the stories. Like, I loved the tale of the flood. I loved the tale of the plagues. I love the Old Testament tales because I thought they were cool and magical. And then I went into like puberty, adolescence, and it was like, that's all so shitty. I know better. I know science. It's all shit. So I was incredibly heavy atheist, like for 5 or 6 years. And then I started to think and read a lot more stuff about religion. And I currently am of the belief that every religion has essences that are coded in certain tales and stuff. But there's an essence across all religions that is very important to make a society just and moral and guides it. And if you say, we don't need the tales, we've understood them, we take all the tales and all the meanings, like the core of religions, we take that because it has worked across all cultures. So we take that and encode that into direct ethical laws. And we read them and we say, okay, this all sounds like something my conscience would tell me as well. And then we could say, these are the secular rules of society. You know, no, we don't have to do that. And who should do that? It's difficult. Who's to say what's right and wrong? Whose conscience? Stuff like that is something, of course, we have no clue how to implement that. But I think there are certain things where many people would agree. So I'm like meta religious. Like, I believe in an importance in religion, but I don't like literally believe all the tales. But I think the tales are important. All of like from Hinduism as well and Buddhism and all that. Like, there's so much stuff that's in common. And I think that's important. That's my view on religion. I think that's important, and I want to figure out what's important about it. And I believe that we have the capability of seeing, like, of understanding conscience and of understanding how to be a good person and how to make society and yourself work now and across time. So just to make you to be transparent on what I believe. So as a scientist, so I don't know. Let me. Oh God, you're probably gonna write so much in the comments. I hope I will be able to answer all of it. And if you shit on me, it's okay. Just feel free.
Or creating a dependability on a church that would impose.
But don't forget to like. Even if you shit on me, don't forget to like, because you engaged in the discussion or you had fun shitting on me. And if you like the content, of course, like as well. And don't forget to subscribe, because I rarely say this, but I've been sitting here for 3.5 hours. It's very exhausting, and I hope you will at least consider subscribing now if you're still here, and like the video and share it perhaps if you think it's worth discussing, not if it's right, but if the things I say are worth discussing, share it. Comment, of course. I would be very, very, very kind of you, because like this is very straining on me. It's starting to get straining because I've been sitting here so long talking about stuff, and it's like not easy stuff to talk about. And I could talk for hours about this, but I just want to get that out here. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting and sharing if you like this. So, because that would be very kind.
Impose further taxes upon the poor and make waste of otherwise productive time. The idea that the church is a moral compass just isn't true. Where the
What? Yes, of course it's a moral compass. Yes, it doesn't mean that a secular government, if it follows certain rules and the rule of conscience, so to speak, that I would implement, for me, it would be still a moral compass. No problem there. Just you have to make damn sure that you take the right rules from religion and abstract them and code them into words. You have to make damn sure. And if you're the wrong person, or the wrong person does it, you're effed, because your society will crash and burn because you were wrong.
church is strong, it causes cruelty. Intense belief produces intense hostility.
That is true.
Only when faith loses its force can a society hope to become humane and progress.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's
My holy
hard
book gives
argument.
instructions on how to live a good life. It has lessons humanity needs.
But what if someone disagrees with you? then you should first think, why do you think this is the instruction for a good life? And then you should get into a dialogue, and then you should both figure out what's right and what you still both agree to. And then you've produced something of value again, and you've developed your religions.
I have benefited greatly, as have the people in the town below.
Are you sure?
Uh-oh.
I have read your holy book, and much of it is bloody and vengeful.
That is
I
true.
suspect an outside spectator would view the people on those pages not as exemplars of proper behavior.
Yeah, but that's the point. They are assholes. You have to see assholes to know what an asshole is. Like what? Of course. That's why I love it. That is what I said before as well with these good and evil characters. You see evil. You have to know evil to see it in the world. Like if you don't know what evil is, if it's not encapsulated in stories of blood and horror, like you wouldn't know it. Like take this video alone, for example. Take the battle scene in this video. It was harrowing. I was like so moved. And I was not in a war, but you start to glimpse it a bit. Like the same way when I talked to the old woman I was visiting, when she told me about the atrocities she saw, it came towards me. So is that bad? Was telling me that bad? That you know that there are assholes, that there are bad people, that there's evil out there? Is that bad to know? You just have to be careful not to go to be like them. You have to go away from them and towards the ones that are good and that you think are good. And you should discuss with people why that is.
But terrifying examples of corrupt morals.
You are missing the point, Apocalypsis. Much of the text is not meant to be taken literally. It is...
That as well, by the way, never take a text literally in religion. Never. That's so dumb. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's so dumb to do that. Obviously, it's an analogy. It doesn't matter it doesn't even matter if it happened or not. If the story is cool and meaningful, it's important that it's there. Never take it literally. Like, who cares? Who cares if it happened or not? If the story is meaningful to you, tell it, and you should say it still. I'm of the opinion that you should clarify that you should say, I don't think there is no man with a beard on a cloud. I don't think that. It's just an image some people made up to try to grapple with that. Because as I said again, harking back to the science part I was thinking about, the first thing, if you try to explain and understand something, is to create images, stories, plays, whatever, in science as well as religion. So that means that's the first thing people did. They tried to explain stuff and they conjured images. And one of the images in time grew to be this godly figure. But that doesn't mean the image is true. It's just the first step of understanding what you're talking about. And that's the same for religion as it is for science. Same thing.
Symbolic or allegorical.
Yeah. So important.
That is exactly my point.
There are studies, and I love it. Sorry. I hope I don't steer off the road again, but there are studies, and I love them. There are studies of children trying to explain physics. And I once read this one story, and it was by they asked children to explain, I think, a process in physics. I think it was something with conducting. It was molecular change. And they asked children, I think age 10, they asked them to explain it. And there was this girl, and I love this. It's one of my favorite parts of any study I've ever read. And the girl says this, paraphrasing. So the girls ask, explain to me why it changes. And the girl explains it. The girl can explain it scientifically, and she can reason with it. So it's not just repeating stuff she read. So like from the excerpt they give in the study, it is pretty clear that she knows what she's talking about. And then she suddenly goes like this. It is almost like a bakery. And the people interviewing her are like, what the fuck are you talking about? What bakery? And she's like, okay, if you're in a bakery and you make dough, you do this and this and this and this, and it changes and blah, blah, blah. And it's the same here. And they're like, yeah, you could say that, like it's an analogy. And she's like, yeah, I really like that. Why do you like that? They ask her. She's like, I don't know. It's just cool. And she's like, and then they ask her, if you would explain it to other people, how would you explain it? And she's like, of course, with a bakery. Because it's just a story to explain it, what the physics is. It's from a 10-year-old. Like, how awesome is that? And in the study, they didn't really focus on that. Like, it was just an excerpt, and they wanted to just show what people think. They didn't focus on that she thought that it was better than the physics thing because she was young. Because from literature we know, the younger you are, the harder it is to abstractly think. Which is, physics is abstract, like it's mathematics in the end. It's very abstract functionalities. And you can't do that when you're young, or you need a long time to do it. So what she did is take the physics and code it in a story so it's easier to grasp, easier to approach. You know, it's like so awesome. And that's why that's so important. It's not literal. Never. That's not the point. The point is that it is not literal. It doesn't matter what it looks like, what the images are. It doesn't matter. It's how they work. If how they work tells you something of value, then it's a good story. And you don't have to take it literally. You can, you don't have to. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I love that. Like, at least that's from like tons of research. Like, you could, like, almost every study on conceptual development I've ever read, and I've read probably 1,000. Perhaps 500. Not 1,000, 500. I've read all of, like, almost everything there is. Like, studies where they ask children or ask young people or adults to explain what they think and how they think. It's always that. Doesn't matter how things look or how they behave. Like, it matters how they behave. If that is something valuable for you and you can apply it and you can, like, instrumentalize these thoughts and apply them to the world, that's good. Doesn't matter if it, like, if you think that's real, that's bad. It's a sign that you haven't completely let go of the images and you haven't instrumentalized what lies beneath, so to speak, which, yeah, I hope that it was not boring, but I'm sorry, scientists coming through.
You priests pick and choose which bits of your book to take literally and which to read as symbolic. And
no, not if
is
you're a good
personal
priest.
matter, not a divine one.
Not if you're a good priest, I would argue.
You may be pure and noble, Uriah, but all too often a priest is a man who is cruel and purely seeking personal gain.
That as well. That as well. It's the corruption I talked about, but I'm repeating myself now, so we will just go.
Religion has no place in a fair and just society.
A fair and just society cannot exist without having been a religious society before, I believe. Again, believe. Because I think you have to have had religion to understand what is right and wrong. Because it is the images you produce to explain what is right and wrong firstly, and then you can move away from them. It's okay. You can, like, put it away, but you still have, because it's a natural phase, you first have to create images and stories. You can't. Like perhaps nowadays some people can, but they have to be very intelligent, I think, and very quick in thinking. So that's why he's right and wrong. I think.
A frightening number of people took these holy books absolutely literally.
Yeah, never do that.
Untold misery and death because they truly believed the words they read. The history of religion is a horror story.
Yeah, it's like taking things without thinking. You have to think about it. If you don't think about it, you're doomed. That's the point. Like, if you just anything, like, you have to criticize it. That's why it is so good to criticize religion, because if you don't do it, like, I have criticized religion in my youth so much, so badly. Like, I've ripped it apart, at least from my point of view then. I wouldn't say it like that now. Harking back again to what I said about I was an idiot sometimes, and I was vain and arrogant. But yes, you have to do that. Otherwise, you can never understand the meaning of the texts. And then you can still disagree with the meaning, by the way. That I'm not saying that they are right.
Uriah, and if you doubt it, look to the past and see what humanity has done in the name of their gods over the millennia. In ancient times, ritual sacrifices were commonplace. To appease their vile gods, priests drowned women and children in sacred wells and cut the heart out of their slaves and prisoners.
Yes, and the point is, again, this evolutionary idea that didn't work, so they didn't do it anymore. That's the point. It didn't work.
They would drive a pile through a maiden's body to pacify a non-existent creature.
You cannot seriously compare my religion to such barbarism.
Yeah, because it's an evolved form. But yeah, what I always wanted to say as well is, not always, I also wanted to say as well is that if you have, like if there's someone sick and you have no clue what sickness is or bacteria or whatever, you just try stuff. You just try stuff, and if something works, you will start to repeat it and to make your next of kin then to inform them about it, you encode that into a cultural thing, a cultural practice to make sure that people stop dying. And it can happen that what you thought you did did not work, of course, because you have no clue. So the story is wrong, and you have to revise it. The practice has to go away. So that means that in religions, even like especially the young ones, there are horrific practices that just didn't work in the end. They tried it, but it didn't work. Like sacrificing people to appease some heaven god, like it didn't work. They either they found out or got told. Like, and you can use scientific data again, like correlations or whatever, to see if stuff of practice works. And then, like, one day you will be an engineer and not a shaman. You know, it's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty cool. And, yeah.
You describe ignorant savagery, not religion as I would name it.
No, you're wrong. No, it is religion. And you have to own that, mate. That is religion. It's just a very young one.
Can't I? It was never uncommon for religions founded in this region of the world to use their faith to justify conquest without mercy. The rich desired more power, but the peasantry would not fight for their kings and their lords just to further the interest of those who ruled them so cruelly.
Yeah, corruption is so bad in religion. I hate that. It's so sad. Because corruption is an essential part of humanity. It's like entropy. It's always there. It will always come, and you have to always try to kill it away. And most of the times you won't make it, and you have to like do something then and revolt or whatever. And it's harsh because it's human nature. Human nature is corruption. That's also why some of the systems that had been thought up in the last century, in the end, horribly, horribly went wrong. Because they thought people were just, and they were the just people, and they implemented their just ideas, which perhaps even were just good ideas, but the corruption effed that so badly.
Just significance by the just and marvelous judgment of God, and the people fought fervently for a cause with no merit. Yeah. Extremism bred extremism, and the retaliation was swift. Now that war had been initiated on religious pretexts, the conflicts escalated, and the battling continued.
I would say this undersells it, though. I think there are true religious wars where ideas fight against each other. Because in the end, religion is like the societal base of a culture. Most of the time, at least in those times it was. So if there are two cultures fighting, they always fight like their beliefs. Like if they don't have the same belief, they always fight in their beliefs. Always. That's like you can't, like that's the point.
Until little was left but fields littered with the bones of the foolish and the deceived. But sorrow or remorse was never tolerated for such a thing, as the crusade was God's will, after all.
Yeah.
This is ancient history.
Also, I want to say that saying it was God's will and not mine, like, is such a cowardly thing to do. Such a cowardly. Yeah, God told me. It's so cowardly. You just run away from your own responsibility then. It's so cowardly.
As you say, the nobles were bent on furthering their own interests. They used religion as an excuse, but in their greed they would have committed these atrocities one way or another. You cannot vouchsafe the truth of events so lost in the mists of time.
I would agree with you, had they not repeated the act nearly a century later. Warriors laid siege to the sect stronghold in ancient Frank, and when the city fell, the generals asked their leader how they might tell the faithful from the traitors among the captives. The leader, who followed his God...
You can't, because yes, some are more pronounced faithful, but the faith is still the basis of the societal rule system in these times. So you have to kill all of them. And he will do that here, and it's horrible and probably wrong. I don't know. Like, I will not comment on that. I don't know. That's such a complicated, bad tasting topic right now, and I don't want to go into it. But man, it's like this is like basically talking about the great G, and it's horrifying. You should that's such an anti-individualistic thought, and it's probably wrong. I think if you own the mistakes your moral code makes, you should not be killed. Never. Like, because that's the point.
God.
And he will do
Order the
that. He will be a
warriors to
fucking
kill
asshole.
them all. God will know his own. 20,000
Again, cowardly. Yeah, put it on God. Coward asshole.
men, women, and children were lost to faith that day. Of course, for fear that any may escape, an organization was given absolute power over the people, with its sole purpose to hunt down those who ran. They
Yeah,
brought about hysteria,
totalitarianism, or
and
whatever you
tortured
say.
any they so pleased. They did not stop once all their enemies were hunted down and killed either. They too had convinced themselves of their holiness. They exterminated whole towns on the merest suspicion of witchcraft or treachery. When it was all said and done, near 100,000 were dead.
Yeah, it's like there is this belief that is going against your beliefs, and you beat them. You want to make sure that they die, all of them. And you just do this. Like every possibility you have, every possibility there is for it to be a case of the other belief, you kill them all. And even if it's false, you will risk that mistake. I think it's a mistake of first order, like where you're like, okay, you could be like, okay, if someone claims this is the other belief, you can either be like, yeah, better not make hasty judgments, let them be, and you will have the error that yes, it was really the other belief, and they will come back into your society. Or you will be like, I don't care if they do, let's make sure. But then you will also end the ones that are like in your belief, and they obviously chose the other one. And what that probably will also do to your society is it will be stale, it will not change anymore, and it will collapse by that.
Most of them were innocent.
If you'll allow me, I shall turn your logic back upon you, Apocalypsis. Had it been a secular government that decided they required more land and riches, do you truly believe they would have decided against it for no reason other than that there was no divine justification?
Yeah.
Look back upon your great knowledge of history. Do you truly not recall any secular government that drove itself mad with suspicion of treachery?
Yeah, and you always find a reason to attack other people, be it belief or outward appearance, like or ways of life, something. You always find it. If you want to go and take something and someone else has it and you want to go there and take it, you can find something in them that you don't like. You always can, and you can rally the masses then against them. Happened in secular as in religious governments all the time because of human corruption, because singular people like exceptionally strongly wanted other people's stuff, I guess. Or like that's very basic what I just said, but I don't want to get into that topic here.
And created a state ruled by surveillance and torture?
Yeah, that...
You chop apart history, take what you so desire, and insist I behold the bloody remains. Humans are flawed, and religion is more often a convenient scapegoat than a corrupting force.
Yes, but I would also argue that if humans are flawed, that flaw is also in the religion, and it will most probably show there so you can see it easily. And you can try to attack it. And if you take that religion, then you can try to attack that flaw with that. So it's not, perhaps not, I don't know. I'm not going to say if things are good or bad ideas, of course, but just to think about it.
If you believe that, then you have been shut away in this church for far too long, priest. All the dictators deposed through unification were mass-murdering ethnarchs who killed millions in their constant warring, burning away all hope of progress. Cardinal Tang's pogroms and death camps saw millions dead in the Indonesia bloc.
Yeah.
He died but 30 years ago and claimed his entire life had been served in the name of a greater power.
Yeah, of course. That as well. It is so dangerous to think if I am the guy, if I would be the leader here, I wouldn't be a tyrant. I would be right. I know what's right. You probably are A, an idiot for thinking that, and B, if you are right, someone else will just kill you, and that one will then be not selfless. So have fun with trying that. That's how it always went, at least in history, I think.
And forget all the good that could be achieved through faith.
Uriah, you only see religion for what it can be. I am seeing it for what it most always is. Savagery pervades our world, and it is sustained by ignorance and crude belief. It is true that before the descent of Old Night, religion had lost its power over the people. But like the worst kind of poison, it lingered and fostered division amongst those who endured. Without belief, divisions blur over generations. New generations mingle, intermarry, and forget ancient wounds. It is only belief in gods and divine entities that keep them alien to one another.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't say that's the case, because I would say that it's not the deities themselves, but the ideas they represent, so that you are still not agreeing with the other person, if that's the case. So if you fight because of different gods, you fight because of different ideas, and you're not done with that fight if it's still burning or like the embers are still there. It's not done. That argument is not done, and you have to. I think you have to address it and make it clear that that's a problem here.
And
can't just say, oh, all of you, we will just believe in this because someone said so, which is on its own stupid, but yeah, just it's gonna be okay.
People breeds inhumanity and cruelty. Religion is the canker in mankind's heart that serves such an ugly purpose.
I have heard all that you have had to say, friend Apocalypsis, and I have finally heard enough. Yes, people have done terrible things to one another in the name of their gods, but they have done terrible things regardless of the course of their beliefs.
Yeah, that's so true as well.
An acceptance of gods and an afterlife is a vital part of what makes us who we are.
It is not just, but it is probably one of the things is that, like 200 years ago and before that, not nowadays perhaps, but mainly 200 years and earlier, religion encapsulated the societies. So if something like that happened, it wasn't because they believed in religion, the society acted like something, but because society acted like something, they believed in a religion. You know, it's like also not necessarily the way it is always portrayed. So again, not saying I'm right, just what I think.
If you take that away from humanity, what do you suggest takes its place? In my many years as a priest, I have ministered to many dying people, and the emotional benefit of religion's power to console the wounded and the dying, as well as those left behind, cannot be underestimated.
Yeah, as well as Nietzsche said, God is dead and you killed him, and the blood you spilled will never wash clean from your hands or your generations to come. Because if you put away with religion, it means putting away with the society that you lived in a way. And if you did not have an alternative prepared for morals, you are effed. And if you had an alternative prepared for morals that's not tested, you are running a very, very dangerous experiment. And that can go wrong as well. And there will be many people that die because of that. And that has happened in the last century a lot. So not saying that it's impossible. And it's happening currently, but look at the state of the world currently. I'm not saying that it's culturally, but it's both are symptoms of something that's happening. Things are not getting clear. Things in the world, I think, are getting very fuzzy and mixed. And through that, because everything is fuzzy and mixed, polarizing things are the ones springing up. The internet is probably helping that a lot to push things into polar poles, so to speak. And that's what happens. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that because I don't have a problem going religious, but I'm not going to go political here. And please don't go political in the comments as well, because this is fiction. I want to think about stuff and not about politics here. I hate politics so much currently. It's just angry at everything that happens, whatever idiots opens their mouth at the moment on all sides. So
there is a flaw in your logic, priest. Religion's power to console gives it no credence or validity. It might be a comfort to a dying man to believe that he will go to some bountiful paradise of endless joy.
Again, making up an image to explain something you don't know. Paradise, image of paradise.
But even if he dies with a wonderful smile on his face, it means nothing in the grand scheme of things.
It means something for that person. again, individuality.
Better that less would die due to the removal of religion.
That, of course, yeah. If that was the case, if complete removal of religion would do that, yes, that would be great. But that thought can lead to terrible stuff. And to be fair, and I'm still sure that's the emperor, to be fair, his crusade led to people believing in him then. So so he created the secular system he's talking about right now. So he's like in this place, it's like, oh, it's going to be so cool if I do this. I am right and everyone else is too stupid and I will do it. I'm the person that is going to bring paradise to the world and to the stars, and we will go into the universe. And you know what happened? He was the one they prayed to then, because they had to fill that hole of religion. And the secular stuff didn't work and the story was, I guess. But if I'm wrong on that again, I don't know. Just tell me in the comments. Perhaps I'm not well enough versed in the lore yet.
Zealot die with a smile on their face.
Maybe. But when my time comes, I will die with God's name on my lips.
Are you afraid to die, Uriah?
Ooh, now it's gonna happen,
No.
I guess.
Truly?
Truly. I have my share of sins, but I have spent the greater part of my life in the service of my God, and I believe I have served him faithfully.
So why is it that when you go to these people who are dying and clinging to their beliefs that they don't welcome the end of their life? Surely the gathered family and friends should be of good cheer and celebrate their relatives' passing. After all, if eternal paradise awaits us, why are they not filled with gleeful anticipation? Could it be that in their heart of hearts, they don't really believe it?
It's the fear of the unknown still. The fear of the unknown is like, I don't know what Lovecraft said. The biggest fear is the fear of fear itself, and the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown, something like that. Because it's unknown, you're so afraid. Like it's.
Are you ever excited to have a loved one move on or leave in search of something greater? Are you ever excited to leave your family and friends in search of a better life? Even if it is for the best, are you delighted to leave all that you know to be thrust into the unknown? No one is. Life is a gift, and our chance to make ourselves into someone before our time in the afterlife. Who would give that up willingly? If you cannot see that plainly, then you are a fool.
Yeah. Oh, is that someone bleeding? Bleeding out? Oh no, it's him.
Mankind is the light in the way, and all his actions are for the benefit of mankind, which is his people. So it is taught in the holy words of our order, and above
Did he
all,
cut
There is
him?
no one to hear you.
I don't care what you say anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Like, why would he? That's the point.
You have come here to do what you feel you need to do, and I'll not
It looked
buttress
like it
your
kinda, but
ego
he
and
didn't.
self-righteousness by playing along any longer. You listen to my words, but hear nothing. End the charade.
As you wish. No more games.
Yeah, it's him. I knew it. I knew it was him. I knew it was him on the battlefield. It's so brilliant. I love it. This is brilliance. Utter brilliance. How could he transform so quickly?
Now do you understand the futility of what you do here?
You are the Emperor.
Yes, and the one he saw. And that's why the belief in the Emperor is so natural. And oh god, it all comes together. I have seen it coming. I called it, you have to admit that. But man, this is brilliance. Brilliance. Everything about this is brilliance. I love it. The implications as well, like for all the people who think they need a god and then they pray to this thing and it's the Emperor in the end. And, oh god. Perfect.
It is time to go, Uriah.
Go where? There is nowhere else for me in this godless world of yours.
Of course there is. Embrace the new way and be part of something incredible. A world and a time where we stand on the brink of achieving everything we ever dreamed.
The clock is gonna start to tick now.
Verona's work was never meant for darkness. Only achieve its full potential. Humanity is the same. And only when the suffocating shadows of a religion that teaches us not to question is gone from this world, will we see its true, radiating brilliance.
So he criticizes again corrupt religion, and he's right. It's so weird. Why don't people... Perhaps I'm too stupid. I'm probably too stupid, but I never understood that. Like, people that criticize religion for crusades and stuff, like, it's so obvious that people are corrupt, and the religion gets corrupted in those times. Obviously it does. Obviously. And it is right to call that out, but there's, like, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So what do you say? Like, you do that. So, I don't know, it's so weird. And this as well, like, he's, okay, come on now. And now people will pray to him, and he didn't want that. But because of human nature, it happens. It's so cool.
I will miss this place.
In time, I will build an imperium of such grandeur and magnificence that this will seem like a pauper's hovel. Now, let us be on our way.
Let's see if he kills him. What will he do? I'm so... I want to know what he did, what he does, what's going to happen to him. Will he kill himself? Will he not accept it? Will he accept it? It's so well written.
How can you do this? You say you stand for reason and the advancement of understanding, but here you are destroying a repository of knowledge.
Some things are best forgotten.
I hope you have foreseen the consequences of a world bereft of religion.
Oh, it's so brilliant. He thinks he's right, and he's gonna F everything up in this crusade thing. And chaos will, that as well, like this corruption will be like felt in the chaos in the imperium, and it will also help it.
I have. It is my dream. An imperium of man that exists without recourse to gods and the supernatural.
And that's so brilliant, and they will believe in him, and people will hate it, and he will hate it, but he can't change humans. It's so cool.
A united galaxy with terror at its heart.
A united galaxy?
Indeed. Soon enough, unity will be achieved on Terra. It is time to reclaim humanity's lost empire among the stars.
With you at its head, I presume.
Of course.
Ooh, that's a nice
Nothing
shot.
of such grand scale can be achieved without a singular vision at its heart. Least of all, the reconquest of the galaxy.
I have heard theories that the Emperor is also a chaos god thing, or an order god, something like that, and that he was created by the beliefs of people. So then he would be like the literal manifestation of the core belief of humanity, which then would mean that he might have a chance to make it right, by the way. I just realized that. That's also cool. So there's a, like this is a leader that has the potential to not get corrupted, if he is really the manifestation of the good of humanity, in a way. I don't know that, though. And what is good and evil, even. My brain is just smoking.
There is a place for you at my side, Uriah. You are noble and your heart is true. We have need of iterators who would spread my imperial truth across the stars to all those planets without guidance.
I can submit to no imperial truth.
Yeah, he will die.
My entire life has been altered by, at best, a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and he can't be on his side now. It would destroy his character, I think. So I think he's gonna die now, because he will burn with what he believed in. And in a way, by that he will win.
At worst, my life has been spent following a lie.
But the lie made you good man. So it didn't matter if it was true or not. Again, it is not a lie. It is not a lie. It's just like the story is just not real. Not being real. Like what he thought was not real, but what he thought made him a good man. And that's the point. I've said it enough, but...
But you know what? It doesn't matter that my life has been one massive falsehood. I came here with my heart open and emptied by grief. The spirit of my god had entered my soul and filled me My devotion was my salvation, and I have spread a doctrine of love and forgiveness. No amount of words and tricks may change that. Even now, despite this revelation, my heart is filled with love. There is no resentment in my heart. What makes faith so powerful, Emperor, is that it requires no proof. Belief is enough.
I heard such a thing. I wish you would join my great crusade, Uriah. Soon I shall expand my imperium to the furthest corners of the galaxy.
But how is his... You know what is very funny? I just realized we don't know his message. Like, he's just saying, I can do it. I can do it. And the priest always gives concrete examples of how they made good stuff. And the only concrete example was, yeah, I've helped poor people, I guess. Like, what's his concrete vision? What is it concretely? How does he plan on achieving it? He didn't say that. He never gave a counter argument, like the counter idea of a society. He always said, no, it's wrong the way it's now. It's wrong the way it's now. So interesting. I wonder what he really plans and how he plans it. We don't learn that here, really. Like, some glimpses, but I would have liked that. Because shutting his ideas down is easy and making him think. But presenting your own ideas and letting that be really shut down, I don't think he did that. Like, he presented some of the stuff, but he mainly counter-argued, which is very interesting. So, I don't know.
With all my sons beside me, I need men like you. You make a virtue of commitment and purity.
Did you not just speak to me of the horror of the Crusades? And what evil men do in the name of purity? You are no better than the holy men you were telling me about.
The difference is that I know I am right, Uriah.
That's what they all say.
Spoken like a true autocrat.
You misunderstand, Uriah. I have seen the narrow path that humanity must walk to survive. This is how we must begin.
Yeah, if, like, I'm not sure, perhaps I mixed this up with Dune, but has he seen, like, the golden path, something like Leto did? If he did, then he is indeed right. Then he is right. That is interesting. I don't know that, so I can't comment on it. Or I think I know it and I forgot, unfortunately. But if he has a vision for humanity that he knows will be good, because he can see into the future, and I think he can a bit. So that's like good. So he's the best chance. I think that's the point. Like, the only thing, like, he's a tyrant, yes, he's a dictator and everything, but if you have to have a leader, he's the best one because he at least has a clear future vision that he saw not only by himself, but through magic or whatever. So probably it might work.
It is a dangerous road you travel. To deny humanity a thing will only make them crave it more.
Yeah, that's true.
I see no reality in which your goals do not lead us to disaster and ruin.
Yes, and he was
where your subjects do not begin to see you as a god.
Oh, that's so brilliant what I always said. It is so well written. I love it.
I truly hope, in the name of all that is divine, you are right. But I dread the future you forge.
I wish only the best for my people.
And I like that he still is honest. Like, this monk here is so honest. He's been nothing but honest the entire time, which makes him a great, good man, I think.
I believe you, Apocalypsis.
And here the Emperor kills an honest man who stands for his beliefs without giving him his own version, and like having him survive to like fight about these ideas. Because he will have no one. But perhaps he doesn't need it because he's seen the truth. But he has not seen it. He is deceived. Because we know where it ends. Like him crippled on a throne. Like, it won't work. It's so good. It's like he's like this character presented as they made it that he is indeed someone who could possibly do it. It's not like just a normal human. He could potentially do it because he can see truth in the future. But it still doesn't work. Like, even if you create a character that is the best you can imagine for this job of a dictator emperor, it still won't work. Because still there's going to be nature fucking you up, like the warps of the Tyranids, and human nature, which is basically chaos in the future. Like, that's like the darkness of being. It's so good.
But I cannot be a part of it.
Is he gonna jump into the flames? His watch has to go to 1 now. To 12. Yeah, please go to 12. I need you to go to 12. Oh god, this is making me really emotional. Oh man. What a chat, man. I love this so much. You should have listened to him, man. You fucked the whole galaxy, you asshole. Wow. He died happy. I'm sad the watch didn't go to 12. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's taking now. And it stopped again. It went to 12, right? Wow, what a brilliant piece of literature. What a marvelous animation. And they're like, mate, are you stupid? Nah. Wow. That was the last church. The last one who could have stopped him from fucking us. Yeah, we need to see the watch now. Go to 12, please. It has to be. Yeah. You know, if it wouldn't be so bad for audio. Jesus Christ, this was utter brilliance. This was utter brilliance. This was one of the most thought-provoking things in the way, not in that it goes contrary to my thoughts, but things that made me think hard. And I'm exhausted as fuck right now. Man, Uriah, what a chat. Rip F in the chat for him as well. I don't know if this will be live, but wow. I actually think I said everything during the reaction. I have to process this now more. Thanks to everyone who recommended this all this time. I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner, but I have to be honest. I mean, it took more than 3 hours to react. I saw that coming. I suspected it a bit. And having 3 hours, I normally would get exhausted before that. So that I could sit through it speaks for its brilliance, but it was also like, my brain is smoking now. This was one of the best things I've ever seen. Oh, Major Kill in Baltimore. I know them. Yeah. Okay, so Uriah's my new, like, one of my new favorite characters, definitely. The Emperor as well, I like him. Like, it's so funny, he exudes this atmosphere of being righteous and calm, and yeah, I can take on your arguments, mate. I'm a logical man. Can give you logic, beat you with logic, destroy you with logic here. I'm so calm. Look at how calm I am when I present my arguments. In the end, he's still lost. I think in a way he's still lost because he's sitting as a zombie on the throne. So perhaps that's what he wanted. If he saw that in his path, then I give kudos to him. Then perhaps it will still be a hopeful future. But the way 40k is now, as far as I know, it's just a shit show. Everything is bad. And he played a part in that. Horrors as well, like corruption. Like, he didn't get corrupted, but others around him got corrupted. And it's exactly what I said. Even if you are the one who is pure and good, the people next to you will backstab you because they lived through something, because they are bad people, because there was a situation they didn't like and it snowballed into something. It's such a brilliant depiction of all of these themes. There was so much in this, so many themes, so many things to think about. I loved every second of it. If you're still here, thank you for watching. This was probably very exhausting for you as well. I hope I did make some sense. I hope I didn't get carried away too much. And as I said, these are just my opinions. All of it, nothing of this is fact. Except for when I say I read this in studies and think it is like this because X. I said that sometimes, so that's a pretty empirically based thing I say then. So you can take that more of as a fact. But yeah, perhaps you found some of the things I said interesting. I hope you did. I hope I didn't waste your time here. Yeah, I will do more videos in a week because then I will be on vacation. I will also publish my new horror story or let it be read by Vidith then. Also, if you want to read a horror story about belief corrupting a village, like I wrote one there as well. Like if you like this theme of corrupt belief, read that story. Like there's the village that believes they've seen God and horrible stuff happens to them because they think that. I will I will pin it in the comment down and also put it here. And if you want to listen to the story about the war and the PTSD, where I try to work that out a bit, it will also be pinned in the comments. Yeah, I hope this isn't getting demonetized. I don't know. It will probably be demonetized. There were some buzzwords and stuff. So please share the video if you like it, because of the algorithm. It's gonna probably just gut me here for this. But it is what it is. I will, you know, that's why I do these reactions. I want good stories to make me think, to challenge my thoughts. And this one definitely did that. And it cleared some stuff up for what I believe as well. And I love this. Like, this is, I think this is something you should teach in school. Like, you should do exactly this. Like, there is so much in this. You could take this, like, if you have a philosophy class in school, a mandatory one or whatever, you might have that. This could be a whole semester. Like, you've got science, truth, morality, corruption, belief, society, so much. It's just so dense, so well written. Whoever wrote this, I hope they get a prize or something. Like, this is writing I would love to be able to produce. I am not. Like, my writing's not that bad, but this is brilliance. So, thanks for being here. As I said, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing, because, as I said, this is gonna be gutted by the algorithm because of some things I said, I think. I tried to make it friendly, but yeah, anyway. I hope you have a very good day. And as always, please take care of yourself, and also please tell me in the comments perhaps what you want me to react to next. I'm still looking for the Lionel Johnson video. I might also do the Emperor text-to-speech. Those two are things I want to do. And also, please, if you are looking out for my SCP reactions, please let me know as well which SCP you want me to do next, because I will do that next week. Anyway, I'm now gonna go get some food with my wife, have a nice evening, and think of this, because I will not be able to sleep, because this will make me think so much. And thanks for being here, and I hope you will be here again on this little channel. And thanks for being here, and I appreciate all of your comments already. And as I said, if you disagree, please as well, feel free, fire at me. I don't, like, that's good. I don't have a problem. I hope I will have the time to discuss with every one of you who will say something. I might not be able to, but I will do my very best to answer to all of you as always. And yes, see you soon. And thanks for watching. Bye.